Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
A very good afternoon to you as we welcome you on into the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia, Rochester's only local sports talk show. We're glad you're with us. It's a beautiful, sunshiny spring day, and we're glad you're listening along at 95.7 FM, AM 950. Watching along on the YouTube stream, our channel, The Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe while you're there. We're also streaming on Twitch. You can get us on your smart device as well when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. Hey, Gino.
Today's show brought to you by Imodium AD.
I don't know what's funnier, that or the conversation I was just having with the Dandalorian as free agency continues in the NFL.
Oh, that's rich too, yeah.
I like, and we'll get to everything that's been going on and the key signings of the last 24 or so hours. The Bills have made a couple of moves, and we'll talk Buffalo Bills with our buddy Matt Perino, who joins us every Tuesday afternoon at 3:25. We'll also talk Amherst hockey later this afternoon with head coach Mike Leone, who stops by at 4:25. The conversation I was having with Dandalorian is, we're spending an awful lot of time wondering if Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the Giants or to the Steelers, but we're not spending nearly enough time talking about the possibility that he completes the Green Bay quarterback circle of life and ends up in Minnesota.
That was Brett Favre, who wanted to go to Minnesota. The Packers wouldn't trade him Minnesota, so he does the layover with the Jets and then goes to Minnesota in the end after the Jets thing didn't work out. So Favre was only with the Jets 1 year. Rodgers there 2.
Technically, yes, but I mean, let's face it, he only really played 1 year.
It doesn't fit, though, Danger, because they have a young quarterback. You're not going to bring in an Aaron Rodgers who wants to start and doesn't want to cede to a first-round pick and J.J. McCarthy.
But what if? What if J.J. McCarthy's knees are weak? You don't have anybody. Right now, the Vikings are screwed.
I'd have to think they didn't bring back Darnold, okay, knowing that maybe McCarthy is healthy, knowing that he's okay. But to your point, Danger, they have to bring in somebody else, do they not?
Gotta bring in a vet. Gotta bring in a vet to back up McCarthy if he's indeed healthy.
That's when I sprung this on Dandalorian. He just cringed, Danger cackling.
He wants nothing to do with it. I want nothing to do with Roger. Like, you could do worse if something happens to McCarthy.
Nope. You know what? Offer up a 4th-round pick for Mitch Trubisky.
Mitch Trubisky, my friend. We bring him back to the NFC North. Yeah. The crazy thing about all of this is you can't rule any of it out. It's free agency. It's bananas. It's the wild, wild west.
We laugh at this. Like, what are the chances that Tua gets another concussion and that's the plan down in Miami? Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Right.
Fantastic. I applaud what the Colts did actually today.
I love what the Colts did today.
You and Rich Eisen were right on top of that, saying, hey, this would make sense that Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes going in, it's going to be a true quarterback competition. Sidebar, when do we ever get that anymore? Rarely. They had one years ago with Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask. Remember that down in Tampa?
The deliberate learner.
And Mayfield won that, but now we have one. This is how it's going to be built. I'll tell you what's going to happen there, Danger. You're going to have Daniel Jones winning that.
I would think so, yes. I would think Daniel Jones wins that quarterback competition, and Daniel Jones is the 2025 version of Sam Darnold. You win games with Daniel Jones, where he couldn't win games with the Giants. He'll win them in Indianapolis. You've got an offensive-minded head coach, good offensive line, skill position players. You'd have to really – I mean, if Daniel Jones can't make it work with this shot that he's getting in Indianapolis, then he's a career backup at best if he doesn't wash out completely.
And the AFC East is soft. The AFC South is softer, I'd have to say. Like Tennessee, worst team in the league by virtue of them picking number 1 overall. Jacksonville, a team that's going in reverse. And I don't know what to make of Houston. So that is a division that is ripe for the taking right now.
So some of the moves that have been made here, and we'll start specifically with the Bills as we're getting on the air here from Elena Getzenberg. Darrington Evans, running back, returning, right? He's been with the Bills in the preseason before. He's been a practice squad guy. I feel like that name is a familiar one to Bills fans.
There should be kind of a line when it comes to free agency. Like, I understand, and this is always the disclaimer, right? You need to bring 90 guys in, and Darrington Evans was here last year, and then he got hurt, and the Bills placed him on IR, came to an injury settlement, and didn't play anymore. So why is Ian Rappaport tweeting out this news today? Like, that seems like a favor to the agency, to, like, whoever the agent is for that. Like, literally, like, my gosh, he's coming back to Buffalo.
Sidebar, these insiders, whether you're talking about Schefter or Rappaport, having to cite the agent that's getting the deal done is gross. I hate it. You're basically cutting and pasting the agency and the agent's name who got the deal done and adding it as a footnote to your update. It drives me nuts.
Well, and somebody else brought up this point too, that wait until the actual numbers come out. Like, it's easy for an agent to lie to one of these insiders about to make themselves look better, to make their client look better, but then it really isn't what they present right up front. So when you hear some of these numbers, it's just keep in mind that nobody's seeing the actual contract.
There was a signing in Minnesota that I think normally if you would have seen it cross your feed, it'd be a giant Francesa.
Oh, who cares?
But when I saw the figure attached to it, I'm like, oh, okay, this is what they're up against. Corner Byron Murphy got 3 years, $66 million from the Vikings. Byron Murphy.
Oh, boy. Christian Benford must just be salivating right now.
Christian Benford's going to – the Bills want Christian Benford. He's going to get his.
What's the sound? That's the ship leaving the port there, Danger. All right. Where the Bills have been, I think we can agree, right? They've been the most proactive in terms of locking up guys. Go back to last year, Spencer Brown. You wouldn't have been able to keep Spencer Brown, but you did because you addressed that up front and you gave him money up front, and the player is delivering on that. Christian Benford, if he has another year like he did last season, like he has, I just see him being a big-time free agent heading next year. And if I'm his representation, anything short of that number, you're not signing here.
So aside from Darrington Evans, Michael Hecht late last night after we signed. Say it again.
Hoyt.
Hoyt
is how we say it.
The CH is silent.
Correct.
Michael Hoyt. He's like,
stop. It's okay.
Nobody knew who he was.
Nobody knew who he was.
Yeah. Nobody knew who he was.
It's okay. And I didn't either. I'm like, who? And then we see some of the video. I'm like, okay, fine. That's you need defensive. You need guys who can play special teams, which he does.
He played better than 50% of the snaps as part of a rotation on the defensive line in L.A., which is probably what he'll do here, right?
Oh, and he's from Canada, Danger.
Oh, no, he's not from north of the border. Well, I guess that trumps everything. Talent, everything. I mean, if you're really, from the region, then you're good.
Did you do that on purpose?
That trumps everything.
Moving on.
Sorry. So if you're from Canada, well, we have a football team for you. Oh, you can handle the cold weather? Yeah, we want you here. We don't care if you're talented, but you've got that on your resume? Come on down. That was the news that happened last night. Also, we learned that Mac Hollins will not be returning to the Buffalo Bills.
2 years, $8.4 million he gets from the New England Patriots, which Mac Hollins, he's nothing more than, I'm trying to say this respectfully, he was the fifth wide receiver, and he did his job as good as a fifth wide receiver on any team could possibly do. Credit Josh Allen, credit Joe Brady, credit all the offense there. But are you paying for past production? Can you upgrade at the position? In Danger, I don't think that Josh Palmer is the upgrade. I think Josh Palmer comes in place of Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is still out there. To me, I think they already have their answer for the fifth wide receiver on the team.
Oh, you know they do. You know they do, because we don't have to go back that far. We could just go back to August at St. John Fisher University. Listen to how McDermott gushes over Tyrell Shavers.
Very impressed. Even if you go back to his rookie season, he's so consistent in even when he wasn't playing with his approach. One of the first players in the building, one of the last to leave, knows what we're doing offensively, systematically, and I mean he's. When you look up consistent in the dictionary, like his face shows up in my mind because he's so consistent and at a young age. I have a lot of respect and appreciation for that.
That's Tyrell Shavers.
Shavers is on this team because he can play special teams and he'll be the fifth wide receiver. And that's, you're hoping that you really don't need your fifth wide receiver all that much. I looked at some of the comments last night from Mike Reese tweeting out the news, one of the first ones on the Beat Danger, and it's actually kind of comical just to see the reaction from Patriot fans as to what they're expecting Cooper Kupp basically, and the comments for Mike Reese after he's gone. For the love of God, at least get Cooper. A good special teams player, mediocre wide receiver. Mac Flintstone brings his talents to Foxborough. I'm sad. Sad face. Not a true wide receiver one. He's just a vibes guy. This was a point made by Jeremy White this morning on his show on WGR that, all right, why, if you're upset about Mac Hollins, it's, as the kids would say, it's the vibes. That was a fun team last year. They're singing. Here's the guy that we all love that's barefoot, and he's making how-to videos, and he just marches to the beat of his own drum. He's a lot of fun, Matt Collins. Why would you let that guy go? They're choosing talent over vibes, Danger. Like, if you win, guess what happens? All the vibes are always good.
Right. And Josh Palmer may be more talented than anybody's given him credit for. Let's go back to earlier today, One Bills Live, when they spoke to Tom Telesco, the guy that drafted Josh Palmer out of Tennessee.
Josh reminded us a lot of Keenan Allen, similar size, and the way he runs his routes is very similar to Keenan. I mean, he can really separate the top of the route. He's got really strong hands. He can adjust to the football, and he has some sneaky speed to him. And we saw that in college where, he could get behind some defenders in the SEC. He did that with the Chargers as well a little bit. But like I said, he's got a lot of good football in front of him. He's still relatively young, but we love his skills. And when we compare people to Keenan Allen, that was a pretty big statement for us. And just to kind of tie in with the Bills, I mean, we saw Keenan Allen's skills very similar to the way Andre Reed was when Andre Reed was with the Bills. Similar size, similar route running ability, similar strength and play. Now, Josh hasn't quite gotten to that Andre Reed, Keenan Allen area yet, but he has a lot of those similar skills.
When you look at who's left at wide receiver as far as free agents go, if you're the Patriots, you're don't hold your breath. I mean, what's going to get you excited? If it's not Mac Hollins, what's going to get you excited?
Well, I mean, if he's healthy, Cooper Kupp is like the last guy. Maybe the Rams did him a favor by putting him out there. And maybe the Bills, but I would say this, Danger, like we're bringing this back to the Bills and the wide receiver room right now. Honestly, I think that's it. Sure, they'll bring in maybe a veteran that could be like Matt Collins. Like, we didn't know who Matt Collins was last year. He made the team. But they also brought in guys like Chase Claypool and Quentin Cephas and other guys who didn't make the team. There's going to be other, finger quote, guys here. But I think it's pretty clear. I mean, the road to, because Samuel's healthy now. You have Palmer. You certainly have Shakir.
Yeah, if you're a Patriot fan holding your breath for Cooper Kupp, I'd say buyer beware. I mean, they're telling you everything you need to know without telling you anything. They brought in Devontae Adams. Isn't he older than Cooper Kupp? Or at least the same age as Cooper Kupp? I think they believe Cooper Kupp is washed, or at least he can't perform at the level that they're paying him at, and they're going to release him. So whatever team ends up with Cooper Kupp, I think you'll have a motivated player, a player that still believes he can go. But why would the Rams say, yeah, we want Devontae Adams, but not Cooper Kupp? We want the guy that's not played in this system, hasn't played with Matt Stafford, over the guy that's been here and made a career out of playing in this system with Matt Stafford.
Well, can I just tap the brakes here on Palmer for a second? Because all the, NFL-related film people are raving about this. Are the Chargers dumb? Did he want out of L.A.? Like, what was it that made you say, hey, you know what, go hit the bricks there? I understand. They got Lab McConkey. They've got other guys. But why wouldn't you make more of an effort? David Drogmeyer, Locked on Chargers, will join us tomorrow on the show. Because I want to kind of dive into that. Are they viewing that as a loss out there? Because, like you said, anything you're buying on free agency – why was it that the team didn't make more of an effort to re-sign that player? I think, take, for example, every one of the Buffalo Bills that played last year still sitting on free agency. Rasul Douglas, kind of old. DeMar Hamlin, yeah, he's fun to have around, but is he really going to be that difference maker in the secondary? I don't think so. I mean, every one of these guys that are on – even Ty Johnson, who put up these great numbers, but I'm not sure what his market value is. And out of everybody, I'm hoping that they bring back Johnson here. So the point being here, what was the reason the Chargers said, yeah, you know what, I think you're not worth that number?
Yeah, I wonder if it's just as simple as Greg Roman came in to become the offensive coordinator and their focus is more on the run game. And, you know, they're going to pass when they need to pass, but or you got a guy in Palmer who wants the ball.
You have Justin Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
You have Justin Herbert.
Yes, you do.
You should be.
You're Greg Roman.
Yeah.
You're Greg Roman, who, you know, thrives with the mobile quarterback and the quarterback that, you know, can make plays with his legs as well as through the passing game. Well, that'll be an interesting conversation tomorrow. I'm glad we got Dave coming on with us to talk about what the Bills are getting here in Josh Palmer. And yeah, looking at the list of wide receivers that are still free agents in the market, I mean, none of these names are going to get you excited. And you could assume that the Bills may sign a guy, you know, as a, you know, to add to the 90-man roster. What's going to get you excited out of all of these names? I'm looking for names. I mean, there's plenty of brand names if you're into DeAndre Hopkins or Tyler Lockett or MVS or Mecole Hardman, DJ Chark, Tyler Boyd. I mean, but at this stage of their careers, if you're a Patriots fan saying, where's the big signing? Yeah, you're really kind of putting all your eggs in the Cooper Kupp basket. And I don't know, I would still say buyer beware on that one.
Well, if you're a Bills fan saying, where's the big signing? I get it. Like, our expectation, he's big baller bean, right? He's going to go out and make a play for one of those defensive playmakers that this team desperately needs, particularly on the D-line here. Tell me who was available. Trey Hendrickson. Okay, is Cincinnati really going to trade him to Buffalo? Cincinnati really going to trade him at all? Like, their track record is, oh, yeah, you can go seek a trade. We don't have to say yes to it.
It might be, hey, Leonard Floyd got released. Let's bring back Leonard Floyd on a one-year deal. I don't know. I mean, when you look at those free agents, again, you could kind of look at it, and there are some brand names here, but at this stage of their career, what are you giving a Leonard Floyd, a Matthew Judon, a Joey Bosa, when you just moved on from Von Miller, a guy who is, you know, made a lot of money during his NFL career, a big brand name? Are you getting that kind of production? Are you getting double-digit sacks from any of these guys? I don't know that you are. Leonard Floyd was great the year that he was here. Man, he used it to get a good year of money out of the Niners, and they're done with him.
I'd bring him back.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
him over Von Miller. I like how, like, but Von Miller could resign in Buffalo. I'm like, well, I don't know too many teams that say thank you and in their social media posts, and then you bring them back.
Yeah, correct. Other kind of like notable headlines from free agency or the legal tampering period. The league year starts tomorrow afternoon. The Panthers cutting Miles Sanders, running back on the market. We mentioned Daniel Jones. He'll compete for a starting role with Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis. Jonathan Allen, defensive tackle, released by the Commanders, signs with the Vikings. I mentioned the Vikings also signing their corner, Byron Murphy, to 3 years, $66 million. Worthy of note when you look at the cornerback market and know that Christian Benford has yet to sign an extension with the Bills. Najee Harris will be toting the rock for the Chargers on a 1-year, $9.25 million contract. Javonte Williams will be the running back or a running back for the Cowboys to trot out there. We mentioned Matt Collins. We mentioned Michael Hoyt. And we mentioned Zach Wilson signing with the Dolphins on a 1-year deal. Oh, boy.
This says everything you need to know when day 2 in free agency. Danger, why this is kind of done here. Yahoo puts out their list of top available free agents, and most of these names are off the board. So guys that are still available. Number 1 on the board, Mekhi Becton. Boy, are you willing to pay that guy? I know it worked in Philadelphia, but good luck with that. That's the best right now. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers. Need I say more? Oh, it gets better, folks. Number 3, wide receiver, playing last year with the Buffalo Bills, Amari Cooper. According to Yahoo, the 3rd best remaining available free agent. And the 4th, hell, he's going to turn 32 in November. He tore his ACL. And no, he's not coming back to Buffalo. Stephon Diggs.
Wait, he's not coming back to Buffalo? You don't think Sean McDermott would welcome him back with open arms? You're kidding me.
5th on the list is Joey Bosa. It's like, oh, okay, Bosa, yes, I guess he's still kind of there.
What was Matthew's tweet to us last week about Joey Bosa? Von Miller is better by a nose.
No, it's not cricket.
One or the other. Let's get to Matt Perito, Syracuse Post-Standard, covering the Buffalo Bills. We'll get his takes on free agency, the moves that the Bills have made. Let's learn more about Josh Palmer. Matt Perino covering the team at Syracuse.com. Our guest next. You can join us this afternoon anytime on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line, 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com.
You're listening. Sports Update.
Buffalo Bills are bringing back running back Darrington Evans, who was in camp last year. Steve Tasker talking about one of the signings yesterday, wide receiver Josh Palmer.
He's got route running ability. He's a separator. His measurables, that's why they gave him a 3-year contract. They've got some expectations with Josh Palmer. I don't think he's just a guy showing up. He's a much more proven commodity than we thought we were going to get with Mac Hollins last year. He's got that Bills DNA.
We'll get the thoughts of one of our favorites, Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, and the Shout Podcast, joining us next year in the Sports Bar. Rochester Americans hosting Charlotte tomorrow night. Head coach Mike Leone joins us in the Sports Bar next hour. ACC tournament, Pittsburgh leading Notre Dame 37-35. They're in the second. Syracuse tonight taking on Florida State. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
All right, legal tampering in the NFL continues. The league here gets underway tomorrow afternoon. We welcome in Matt Perino covering the Buffalo Bills for the Syracuse Post-Standard. You can read his work at syracuse.com. Hear his work on the Shout Podcast. Let's see, we got Darrington Evans added to the mix. At running back, we've got Michael Hoyt on the defensive line. And I think we wanted to start by talking about Josh Palmer, the new addition to the Bills wide receiving room. Matt, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Matt, appreciate the time. Oh, no off season for you. Matt, just kind of your overall thoughts here on bringing in a Josh Palmer, not the name I think many of us expected, but is it a move in your opinion that makes sense for Buffalo?
Yeah, I get it, right? Like you look down at a lot of people's wide receiver rankings and you start the offseason looking at T. Higgins atop the board. Then you obviously know that the Cincinnati Bengals franchise tag him and taking him off the board. And then Monday starts off with an Albert Breer story that says, from what he's heard, he wouldn't have been surprised if T. Higgins had been made available if the Bills wouldn't have made a run at him. And so if you go from there, that starting point, to landing at Josh Palmer, a guy that had his best season in 2022, the numbers haven't really blown you away at any stage. He's always kind of been wide receiver 3. I don't know if that moves the needle for a lot of fans, and I kind of get that. Now, what could the potential addition mean for the Bills' offense? I think it could mean a lot. I think what he does well, I heard what Tasker was just saying there, some of the separation numbers and his ability as a route runner, I think added to the mix is exactly what they thought they were getting when they traded for Amari Cooper last year. And so if you were to take out Amari Cooper last year and put in Josh Palmer, I think you can make that argument. And they're hoping that this gives them somebody on the outside, no matter the development for Keon Coleman, where things land with Curtis Samuel, and no matter what happens in the draft or anything else that they do to add a player, they know that Palmer can go out one-on-one against press man and find a way to get open at all 3 levels of the field. I mean, if you go look at his highlight tape, there's a lot of plays where, over the middle, making a contested catch, finding a way to get separation on a short comeback route, beating a cornerback, sometimes a speedy cornerback, down the field on the sideline. Those are the kind of plays they're hoping that Palmer adds to this offense. And from that perspective, at this number, that's the other piece of it. I think you see 3 years, $36 million, and it kind of gets your eyes open a little bit, in part because Spotrac had him valued at about 3 years, $5 million per season.
Right.
That obviously was in the low end of things, but that's kind of the market. When you start seeing a guy like De'Ami Brown, who, if you want to talk about what have they done in the league, that guy getting $10 million completely changed what I think a lot of these guys were going to get. And that skill set that Palmer brings to Buffalo is rare in this free agent class, and I think that's why they pounce. It'll be interesting to hear Brandon Beane talk about it when we get a chance to ask him questions.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like you're playing more for the skill and less for the actual player. You have somebody now in your roster that can do something that no one else can do, and you could do it better than what you had last year in Amari Cooper. I guess the thing that we're wrestling with here, Matt, is why did the Chargers feel he was able to hit the open market? Was it as simple as him playing behind Keenan Allen and Mike Williams the first few years of his career, his final year playing in an offense designed by Greg Roman? I mean, what about Palmer and the Chargers led to their split?
I think it was probably more philosophical than anything else. And at that number, with the amount of targets he was getting in that offense, I mean, they go out and they get Ladd McConkey. They probably are going to continue to add in the draft around Justin Herbert. Maybe just like, where does Josh Palmer fit into all that? Wasn't getting the kind of consistent opportunities. And I mentioned philosophy because once Harbaugh came in there, I mean, it was all shift to developing a running game, bringing in the kind of offensive linemen that can help them start to run the ball more effectively. And you see it. They let Josh Palmer go, and they bring in Najee Harris. They want to be a smash mouth style of offense that takes a lot of the pressure off Justin Herbert, but still having that ability at the quarterback position to, when you need it, to be able to attack. So I don't think it was much about Palmer as maybe just wasn't their guy. They're kind of reimagining the thing. I think skill positions are going to look a lot different there over the next couple of years as Harbaugh continues to put his fingerprint on the offense. And I think it probably had more to do with that than anything. Palmer's a guy, you talk to people around the league, you follow like fan bases around the league, and I think people that really pay attention had him as kind of an under-the-radar kind of target. And that to me is like the barometer, because Darius Slayton got all the buzz, Chris Godwin got all the buzz. But underneath that, if you talked about that next tier of guys, I felt like Palmer was at the top of the list. And I do think the Bills have a pretty good track record overall when they go out and they try to acquire a wide receiver since the early days. Have there been a couple of misses along the way? Sure. Have they drafted a couple of guys that haven't worked out? Sure. But I do think when they go to try to find a specific skill set to add to the room, it's usually with a purpose, and there's a lot of good results that have come from that with Bean over the years.
We're talking to Matt Perino, Shop Podcast, Syracuse Post-Standard. The Bills losing a fan favorite in Mac Hollins, offered a lot of different skills there, and we'll always kind of remember the catch in the AFC Championship game. He led the team in receiving touchdowns. In the end, though, was this just a case of the Bills had a number? I mean, the Patriots remember, he only came to Buffalo, Matt. I looked this up. 1 year, 2.6. He's going to be earning more from New England. Is this move surprising that Mac Hollins leaving Buffalo too?
Yeah, because I think what maybe the Bills are realizing is that as good as it is to have a guy like that can block on the outside, to pay that kind of number for it, I just think you can get a guy to come in and do it for a lot less. And, he met a lot in the room too. I think that's the biggest piece for Bills fans. He became a fan favorite because of how everybody talked about him. And that's real. But I also think that there's other guys in the room, leaders, if you will, that will step up. And, there's some of these younger guys that have to start to put their fingerprint on things. Like year 3 for Dalton Kincaid, you got to become a kind of a leader now. Like Dawson Knox has been there for quite a long time. You have Curtis Samuel, who's going into, I believe, year 8 or year 9, as somebody that, Khalil Shakir was talking about last week as one of the first guys that texted him to give him a little bit of a hard time about his car, maybe upgrading from the Subaru. So, listen, I like Mac Hollins. I think he was a fun story. His production versus compensation was off the charts, but it never felt like after a year like that, he was probably going to earn a little bit more money. And I just don't know if that role exists for this team next year for him in this offense.
Well, it was funny when they brought in Palmer, we were kind of doing the exercise yesterday, and we're like, you know what, it's very clear that they have a top 4 in terms of their wide receiver depth chart. They don't have that true, what we would call a wide receiver 1 in terms of a guy that can just give you eye-popping stats. But their top 4 is certainly solidified, and a guy like Mac Hollins would slot in nicely into that 5th wide receiver slot, playing a little bit of special teams as well as playing when called upon. Does that role now default to a guy who's been with this team and a guy who we know Sean McDermott loves, a guy named Tyrell Shavers?
No, I'm not there yet.
Okay.
I think he could have a great summer again and put himself in a really good spot. He made a big play last year, and he's going to compete for a roster spot, but I don't think they're done at wide receiver. I think the draft, depending on how this thing shakes out and what players are available and maybe, whatever that missing link is, that other piece to the puzzle, maybe they look to go out there and get that in the draft. There's a couple of ways they can do it. In the first round, second round, obviously Matthew Golden out of Texas has become a draft darling for a lot of people after his combine workout. Maybe that's not the move. Maybe you go in a different direction at some point, whether it be in the first round, second round, third round, but you add another guy into the mix that I think then will will play Shavers down a little bit. And you got to look at the second and third wave of free agency. There's always like a name that pops up that you're like, oh, wow, he was still out there. Or maybe you get to training camp and there's a cap casualty close to the season. There's so many stages that you get to go through. And I'm not sitting here and saying that there's no way Tyrell Shavers can't earn a role on this team. I mean, anything's possible. But I don't think that it's necessarily Mac Hollins out and Tyrell Shavers in. I still don't think he's as good on special teams. I think that's going to be something that he took a big step in last year. They're going to continue to evaluate him in that part of things. I don't think they're done at wide receiver, though.
We're talking to Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, Shout Podcast. Matt, so much has happened since we talked to you last Tuesday. One nugget here. Bill's moving on from Von Miller. That is not a surprise. That leaves a spot open if the Bills should choose to go here the free agency route. Bosa, you've got Leonard Floyd. I mean, the hope of a blockbuster trade, that also is kind of, getting more and more distant here. How do you think the Bills go about, looking at the rest of what's left here in free agency, or maybe, just maybe, is there a trade to be had out there right now?
The Hendrickson one is interesting. I know that they probably wanted to gauge the interest, and that's probably why they let him go around and start talking to teams. I'd still be surprised if the Bengals end up trading him. There's been so much pushback since that report happened where, Cincinnati, people are asking, we were talking about this on the podcast last night, guys, like, would it be that surprising if it ends up being they give a big deal to Chase, they come to an agreement with Hendrickson, and then try to trade T. Higgins instead because of how many people kind of got on them for how they're allocating their resources? That wouldn't shock me, especially if you can get a first-round pick in this draft or a second-round pick in this draft, which would be something similar you'd get for Hendrickson. I know they don't want to break that band up, but I think, to me, the path to finding a replacement for Higgins is much clearer than finding a replacement for Hendrickson. You're not going to be able to, likely this season in the draft, find a guy that has the ceiling of, or maybe the floor. We can consider it the floor because he's had 17.5 sacks the last two seasons, in each of the last two seasons. So that's unbelievable production that they're willing to just let walk out the door in what is still probably another year or two of prime football left for Hendrickson. And, that to me is the big swing that I think if the Bills can find a way to make it, makes a ton of sense. He's got a history with Ryan Nielsen, who comes over as a defensive assistant now after being a defensive coordinator at Atlanta. And in Jacksonville, he was the defensive line coach for all of Hendrickson's seasons in New Orleans. And to me, that makes a ton of sense, and you need that difference maker. The issue is, are you going to have to just unbelievably overpay to get a guy like that in conference against another potentially Super Bowl contender? That's the big question. In terms of what's available out there, the Leonard Floyd idea is fine. I still think the Bills, no matter what they do in free agency, if that's the route they go, they still have to be aggressive on the defensive line in the draft, which means another edge rusher probably on day one or day two. A couple of defensive tackles in this class, no matter what they do. I like the addition of Michael Hoyt. This is a chess piece that, you read about. Jordan Rodriguez put together a really good story on him and their defense last year, and hearing his teammates and his coaches talk about the versatility. He's kind of becoming the modern DeJuan Smoot now, like the new Smoot. He's somebody that can call the defense on third down. He can stand up. He can get in a three-point stance. He can drop into coverage. He's just a really violent, energetic presence as a defensive player that can be a chess piece. And I think that's something that you see a guy like Nielsen brought in, and Pellegrino as the Nichols coach as a cornerback. They had their defensive coordinator in Babich. You have to reimagine how you're deploying this defense. And I would expect there to be some, maybe not like bedrock foundational scheme changes, but maybe some alterations to how the Bills play defense and the kind of style of player they're looking for. It's rumored that they're in the mix for Asante Samuel, who maybe doesn't fit at cornerback, doesn't necessarily fit the prototypical McDermott cornerback, but somebody that is a playmaker, really good in coverage, can play in a man scheme as well. Maybe there's a little bit of a departure with the kind of style of player they want at all three levels of the defense.
Yeah, let's talk about corner for a second, Matt, because J.C. Horn broke the bank in Carolina. Whether that's real or not, like, does he deserve that? It doesn't matter. He got it, and it kind of reset the market at corner. I saw Byron Murphy in Minnesota get 3 years, $66 million, which leads me to wonder, what is Christian Benford going to get in an extension, and when can we expect that?
Yeah, that could be coming down the pike here, depending on what it does. I think it's so hard to determine that valuation. I would love to know how the Bills view it and how the league is going to receive Benford, because he's a great cornerback, but the turnover production isn't there. It's similar to Horn, I guess. But I think Horn, as a former first-round pick and the one Pro Bowl in 2024, had a little bit more to bargain against. I think he's a little bit faster, twitchier, the kind of traits that you look for in a cornerback. I don't think the measurables blow you away with Benford. So it just comes down to, are his representatives going to be able to, hit the open market and get top dollar, or is there going to be some teams that are worried about it because maybe he's been so good in a specific scheme and maybe that doesn't transition into every one? But he's a good player. I wouldn't be surprised that if Benford doesn't end up taking a little bit less to stay in Buffalo, because he's a low-profile kind of guy. I think Buffalo suits his personality and what he wants. Everybody wants to get paid. I get that part of it. But it wouldn't surprise me if the final numbers come in on Benford and it's a little bit more team-friendly than you'd maybe predict right now as we sit here.
So of the remaining free agents the Buffalo Bills have right now, and again, I'm trying to keep track here of everything, Matt. I don't think anything's happened here since you came on with us, but is there one player that you say, you know what, it'd be good for the Bills to bring back, let's say, a Rasul Douglas or DeMar Hamlin, or maybe that's Ty Johnson, maybe it's somebody else, but of these guys right now that are shopping their wares, any of the names that you would put up on that list to bring back?
Yeah, to me, it's probably Ty Johnson, and I know Darrington Evans just gets brought back. I don't think that factors in, although maybe it's a little bit of a buffer area if you're worried about the markets developing for Ty Johnson here on day 2 of the legal tampering period. He was so important to their offense, and this is a draft class where you could probably go and find a similar skill set. Maybe they land on something that's they like, or maybe that's what's keeping them from taking the plunge and bringing back Ty Johnson right now, or maybe it's just a conversation among multiple teams and he's going to make a decision and we'll see where that ends up going. But I still think Ty Johnson was so important. I've kind of moved past Hamlin and Douglas only because I think they'll probably warrant money that the Bills aren't willing to pay, because I don't think you'd pencil in either of those guys with Penn on your depth chart as starters next season. So I think it's going to be one of those things where you'd love to have both of them back in depth roles, but how do they view themselves? DeMar Hamlin, he's probably going out there to get a contract that is for a starter. He probably wants to be a starter his 2 seasons of the last 3 where he's been really able to play, take out 2023 as he was kind of coming back from that event. He's been a starter in this league. He replaced Micah Hyde when Hyde got hurt and started most of that season. And so I think he wants to go somewhere where he can continue to show that he's a starting caliber safety in the league. And I just think Douglas is at a point in his career where, can he be a starter? Sure. I just wonder if the Bills can't do better and if they're not going to try to do better. And that's probably where the Samuel stuff comes from and whatever ends up happening in the draft.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit deep here on tight end because Quentin Morris is on his way out as a free agent. And Zach Davidson is a name that we heard a little bit about early in the season during training camp specifically. And I know tight end 3 isn't really a hot topic this time of year, but I think when you talk about the need for production out of Kincaid and Knox, that Davidson, Morris did make plays while he was with the Buffalo Bills. What do we know of Zach Davidson? What does the team think of Zach Davidson, Matt?
I think they like him a lot, and I think there's a lot of upside as a pass catcher, especially. And the one area that you wonder is, can he be a factor on special teams? That's where Morris was so valuable. Morris was also that versatile chess piece that could play fullback. If Gilliam was hurt, he can line up in line and block. He can line up outside, and he could throw in the ball. I mean, yeah, you're right. He's had a couple of highlights under the radar over the course of his career. It wouldn't surprise me if Morris even makes his way back to the team. But they like Davidson a lot. They spent a lot of time developing him. He obviously had that big injury 2 seasons ago that cost him most of that year. But he had as good of a training camp. I mean, he was the modern-day Duke Williams, right? Like, everybody was had fired off a Zach Davidson tweet at some point during training camp last year, whether it be media or fan. And so he's going to be somebody that, going in, that's going to be something to watch, like that tight end 3 battle, no matter what they do at the position, whether it be bringing back Morris, going out and bringing in somebody else. I like Davidson too. He's got a good demeanor. He's well liked in the locker room as well. It'll be a big summer for him.
Last one for me, Matt. Just got the alert that Josh Allen is going to be available to reporters tomorrow. So I'm sure you'll be on that Zoom. For Josh Allen, now that you get that contract, and again, that's one thing that happened this week too, and we don't want to overlook that. Does this give him the opportunity to wield more power? Do you think he'll have more say, or is it just going to be the same old Josh? Like, we saw this evolution, I think, of Josh Allen in the past year, with post-Diggs here, and we all kind of liked it. But where do you see Allen now taking the next steps in his career here in Buffalo?
I definitely think that he's part of the conversation. I don't think that I believe Bean when he says this, and he kind of talked about this a little bit on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. Like, Allen's a part of the conversation. He had takes on the rookie receivers last year. That's open, right? They're going back and forth. They want guys and skill sets that Josh Allen thinks can help on the field. I mean, he's that far along now in a reigning MVP that you have to take all that into consideration. But I don't think that he's the kind of guy that's going to say, get this guy or else. Like, that just doesn't seem like his MO, nor does it feel like that's the relationship that he has with Bean and McDermott. And Brady. It feels like a collaboration of things. And whoever it's been, whether it was Dable, Dorsey, or Brady, and you guys could correct me if this is your feeling, but I get the sense that Allen puts implicit trust in those guys to really set out the vision for the offense, best position him to be successful, and bring in the kind of players that are going to maximize opportunities in the offense. And systematically over the years, or incrementally, I should say, there's been these improvements in not only Josh Allen's game, but the depth of the offense. And so I think that going out and bringing in a guy like Palmer, probably there was a conversation about that going into free agency. And I wouldn't be surprised if Allen put the tape on a Palmer. And this is something we could ask him about tomorrow and said, yeah, this is the kind of thing we could do this, and this in the offense that we just couldn't do last year. Or maybe they could do with Cooper, but at times he was hurt. There was still him getting used to the offense. There was a report from, can't remember who Matthew Berry of fantasy fame was at the Combine, and he put out a big column. And one of the things, he talked to a Bills source, and apparently that Bills source told him that the team felt like Amari Cooper is kind of plateaued, and maybe this is kind of like the downturn of his career a little bit. Whether or not that's true or not, or obviously they went out and got Palmer and Cooper's still available. This could be the kind of player that Josh Allen looked on film and said, yeah, go get me that guy. We'll see how much input he had on that when we talk to him tomorrow.
League year gets underway tomorrow. You're going to hear from Josh Allen tomorrow. What are you and Ryan working on in the Shout podcast, and what can we read up on at Syracuse.com now, Matt?
Yeah, I'll have full grades on the first 2 signings and anything else that comes out. That'll publish later on today or maybe first thing in the morning. Working on all of that. It's been kind of like a little slow roll after the 2 big first editions yesterday, but every time there's a big time, or even anything that starts a conversation, we'll have an episode of Shop for you this week.
Matt, you and Ryan doing a fantastic job. Really appreciate you giving us the time as always. Thanks so much, bud.
All right, guys. Take care.
There he is, Matt Perino, covering the Buffalo Bills for the Syracuse Post-Standard. Read up on Matt at Syracuse.com. And check out Matt and Ryan Talbot, the Shout podcast, wherever you get your shows.
Lot of ground to cover, and I'm going to be curious to hear what Josh Allen has to say. And, talking about the power that Josh Allen has, I mean, gosh, thank goodness we have Oak Hill Country Club.
You're right. You guys will get the Bills at training camp as long as we have Josh Allen in Oak Hill. I have a feeling Josh probably saw the tape of Palmer and said, oh, he can separate? Yeah, get me that. I mean, you're paying the guy for the skill. His skill is unique to that wide receiving core. He can separate better than anybody else on the field for the Bills.
If you're Brandon Beane, I think, and Sean McDermott for that matter, I think you're at the what do you think? You want the input of Josh at this point.
No question.
What do you think? You're He is the most powerful athlete we've ever had here.
Well, he's going to go down as the greatest Buffalo Bill of all time. And he's right now the most famous guy in New York.
New York State.
Yeah.
Now, some would say Aaron Judge. Last time you brought that up, I got to push back on Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the Metro, yeah. In the Metro, it's Aaron Judge. New York State?
New York State. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I think it's Josh Allen. We'll get to Mike Leone. He's the most famous coach in Rochester. I'm reaching. Rochester Americans head coach joining us here later on this afternoon, right around 4:25, licking our wounds from a couple of losses in Laval and some less than natural opponents in Charlotte and Providence coming up this week for the Amerks. We'll get a preview from their head coach when he stops by the sports bar here next hour. We'll take a quick break here and get you updated on everything else that's gone on here. Day 2 of legal tampering. And I know that there's one team that the bloodletting feels a little excessive. In fact, I saw a stat that from their Super Bowl roster just a couple of seasons ago, 11 of the 22 starters are no longer on the team, just from 2 years ago.
I would say for a team like that, it's not over. In fact, there is one quarterback situation right now we're not talking about. And maybe it's because it's not a team that is on the East Coast here, but certainly there are some unsettled situations. And I saw this one tweet here too. Aaron Rodgers will make his decision 4 or 5 months from now.
Is that a joke? I mean, it really is going through the Brett Favre cycle.
It's a joke, but it's not.
Right.
He's not under contract. He's older than 40. He can go to do I really want to go to these mini camps? Because last year I got kind of shamed. I can just kind of sit out.
Well, maybe that's what the negotiation is. Maybe the negotiation is, I'll sign with your team, but here's my list of demands before I take a snap. I need mini camp. I don't want to be around the team. I need vacation. I'm not going to be at training camp. What is that list of demands looking like for Aaron Rodgers?
Can bring in Ellen Lazard.
Yeah, exactly right. Randall Cobb needs to unretire and come back. We'll dive into the latest here from day 2 of legal tampering as well. Next, as well as your phone calls at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. 95.7 Streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Just one minor signing for the Bills today, bringing back running back Darrington Evans. Evans was in camp last year. Steve Tasker today on One Bills Live talking about a new signing, defensive lineman Michael Hoyt.
When you watch his highlights, he is a high motor dude who is always a try-hard guy. Whatever the play is, he's chasing it. And you love the attitude he brings. But you're right, he does bring something to the table in the run game, and he's a handful. He's going to be an asset to the team. We'll see. He'll be a rotational guy, no question.
Amherst hosting Charlotte tomorrow night. We'll talk to head coach Mike Leone later this hour. ACC college basketball tournament. Pittsburgh and Notre Dame head to overtime. They're tied at 54. Syracuse tonight in action, taking on Florida State. Tiger Woods, a ruptured left Achilles. This season is done. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Josh Palmer's the best receiver of all time. Michael Hoyt is my favorite player ever.
Josh Palmer and Mike Hoyt, they're Canadians.
And what time it is, it's the day before the new league year's popping.
The new league year is set to begin tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Mike Danger.
Naps are overrated. Naps are actually disgusting. Think how insane it is to say, I need a nap. No, you don't. That's what sleep is for. Naps are disgusting. Naps are terrible. They're gross. Gino, Houseman, pets, babies. That's who naps are for. End of story. I said it. I said what I said. I'm sticking by it.
Gene Battaglia.
You know, in your updated wish list here, anybody that you could circle right now and be like, okay, he's out there. Would like the Buffalo Bills to pursue this guy.
Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo.
So, Mafia, mount up!
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
You're back in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia. We'll have a chat with Mike Leone, Rochester Americans head coach, here in about 20 minutes or so as the team prepares for Charlotte Wednesday night, St. Patrick's game. Providence coming in Friday night at the arena. That's always fun.
Shout out to everybody driving around right now that are listening to us maybe with a window down as I was today. And, I talk Amherst hockey and feel a little spring in the air. Yeah, it's fantastic out there. Charlotte tomorrow night, Providence on Friday for that St. Patrick's Day game. And then nothing after that this week.
We're getting after it, though.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah.
Legal tampering continues. Day 2 of legal tampering. The league year officially underway tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock. And some teams still trying to figure it all out.
Yeah. Like, what do the Steelers do if Aaron Rodgers is holding them hostage? What's plan B in Pittsburgh? It's not Justin Fields. He's out the door. He went to the Jets. It could be Russell Wilson, but is Russell Wilson ready to be the consolation prize? Oh, by the way, Tennessee needs a quarterback, so maybe I'm fascinated. The Giants, somebody is going to be left out in these musical chairs here. You have the Giants, you have the Steelers, and oh, by the way, over here in the corner, you have the Tennessee Titans.
Free agent quarterbacks. You mentioned Rodgers, you mentioned Wilson. After that, the list gets ugly. Winston, Flacco, Gardner Minshew, Marcus Mariota, Drew Lock. Do you want to give Mac Jones a try again as a starter?
Oh, I'd love to see Jameis Winston in Tennessee, right?
I mean, I just want to see Jameis Winston on the field. He's
That's
too
it.
much fun.
Wherever.
He's not going to win, but he's going to be fun. He's in fact, I can almost guarantee he will not win, but he will be a lot of fun. He always is.
It's your foot on the accelerator with the emergency brake on. Whee!
Yeah. There's none of these guys. I mean, younger guys like Trey Lance, there's a reason why he couldn't get on the field when Dak Prescott got hurt last year. Guy just might not be good, even though he was a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. Do you want to go back to Carson Wentz and give him is the Ginger General ready to be a team leader again?
That's why you and I chuckled. We're like, really? The Browns are trading for Kenny Pickett. They actually offered up a draft pick for Kenny Pickett. That's where we are right now. Then you had this story last night. I don't know if this is true or it's just being put out there just to any team that might be in panic mode, hey, we're the New England Patriots. And, hey, did you see our guy in Week 18? Granted, it wasn't against the real Buffalo defense, but, man, Joe Milton looked pretty good.
Yeah. I was talking to Dan DeLorean before we jumped on the air this afternoon, and I know that we've spent a lot of time just assuming that Aaron Rodgers is going to sign either in Pittsburgh or in New York with the Giants. And I can't yet rule out the very real possibility that a team in desperate need of veteran quarterback presence could actually be in play for the services of Rodgers. What have the Vikings done to themselves from 14 wins a season ago to Darnold ending up in Seattle? Daniel Jones now in Indy. You have J.J. McCarthy. You have Brett Rippon rostered at quarterback. That's it. And wouldn't it just be so NFL if Rodgers duplicated the Brett Favre circle of Green Bay quarterback life by flaming out with the Jets, only to return to the NFC North? And the crazy part of all of this is you cannot rule it out entirely. You can't rule it out.
Oh, I'm ruling it out 100%.
It's a possibility.
It's 100%.
What if J.J. McCarthy's knees are weak?
Yeah, and what if, like, I die tomorrow or whatever? Like, honestly, like, who knows? Like, they wouldn't have let Sam Darnold go.
He didn't have knee surgery last year, Gino. McCarthy did. What if he's not fully recovered? What if he can't go?
They would have to know. You are just barking up the wrong tree. I'm going to give you another team, though. What's going on in San Francisco? Okay, things are getting ugly there. Just kind of tell you that, right? Oh, wait, they traded Deebo Samuel away. Oh, that was like, they have so much dead cap. We'll get to that in a second. Brock Purdy, by the way, still doesn't have a contract. Michael Silver, The Athletic, forecasting an ugly situation. Quote, Purdy's camp can float the possibility of a holdout, something that could potentially hijack the 2025 offseason in a manner that will make last year's Ayuk saga look like a warm-up act. Look, to me, this whole franchise danger feels like it needs just a reboot. Hit the reset button here. Head coach, quarterback, everything. Good luck getting 10 games out of Christian McCaffrey this year. You should look at the market for that. Also, this is the key figure, $68.2 million in dead cap. That is the most in the NFL this season. And look, the Bills proved that you can win when your cap is sideways like that, but the 49ers don't exactly have the Bills quarterback.
You're right. You just made a great argument for Aaron Rodgers going home to the Bay and starting for the San Francisco 49ers.
I did. Inadvertently, I did.
You did. I don't know that they have that this is kind of a reboot. When you consider that this team was in the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago and half of their starters from that team are gone.
It worked with Purdy because they had everything else around him, and they weren't paying the quarterback. Now the quarterback, understandably, wants to get paid, and if I'm the Niners, I'm not budging. Your best course of action, don't laugh, might be to bring in Aaron Rodgers and just see how that kind of works. I mean, is there – like, I like your theory that there's a mystery team. We assume it's Pittsburgh or New York. I think it's ridiculous that we're talking about a 41-year-old quarterback like he's some sort of prize.
And he's going to sell himself like some sort of prize, and he's going to make sure you know how many MVPs he's won and how high a level he's played at for a very long time. And by the way, last year with the Jets, it wasn't his fault, man. It wasn't his fault. You saw the dysfunction with that organization. I went out there and I made plays. And he's not entirely wrong. He is a culture killer. There's no question about that. The guy can come into a locker room and kill a culture. I do believe that. But yeah, he still made some throws. He still made some plays.
That's what GMs and head coaches will drool on. You can join us at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Peter joining us. What's Peter?
So we're talking about Aaron Rodgers here, and cue the Larry David music. All of these teams that want Aaron Rodgers, it's the most Jets thing to do. And I know we talked about this 2 weeks ago, as if Aaron Rodgers is going to recreate something. At best, you're looking at Peyton Manning, who led the Denver Broncos to the Super Bowl when he couldn't throw more than 20 or 30 yards. So I think teams would take that. Hilarious. They might, but
every team would take that. Every team would take, yeah, your quarterback can't throw more than 20 yards downfield, but we're winning the Super Bowl. Every team would take that.
Well, but Aaron Rodgers is no Peyton Manning when it comes to locker room. And you're right. It wasn't all his fault. The Jets are a dysfunctional organization. But he had his contribution. My wife's a mental health therapist. She talks about conflict. What is your contribution to the problem? On that note, I'm out.
Wait, no. Wait a second. You can't, Peter, say my wife is a mental health therapist and she married you, a Jet fan? I'm sorry. Let's pause
That
here.
works out pretty good. That actually works out really good. Free therapy for Peter. Yeah, that works out really well.
I like how Jet fans are like, oh my gosh. Like, can you imagine him going to the Giants and winning games? Going to the Jet. Brett Favre got the Vikings to the NFC Championship game.
That's correct. He could do it again this year, too.
Brett Favre?
Specifically. No, specifically, Rodgers could go to Minnesota and get Minnesota to the championship.
You're just doing this. Like, honestly, most people would just be like, no, I don't believe you. You're just tweaking Dandalorian.
I'm not.
You're tweaking him.
I'm not. I think the Vikings right now are circling the drain. I think they're panicked. I think they're making a mistake. They've made a huge mistake.
Paying $88 million for a guard as they did today. For guard. Fries.
I'm gonna miss the French and fries meme from Indianapolis. That was sad to see that duo break up. But to let Darnold and 14 wins walk feels like a massive mistake by the organization. And I know J.J. McCarthy is the future. There's nothing wrong with letting J.J. McCarthy sit another season. Get that knee strong. Get that knee healthy. Learn the offense even more than you did last year. Get more reps behind a starting quarterback. Why not Aaron Rodgers? I just want to see chaos, Gino. You know how I am. I don't believe that there's only two teams reaching out to Aaron Rodgers right now. I believe that right now Rodgers only wants you to think there are two teams that are interested in his services.
Okay, can we just agree that it's Rodgers and a consolation prize being Russell Wilson? And then what?
That's it. That's all that's left.
And
everything else is disgusting. There's no other free agent quarterbacks. You're making a trade at that point. You have to because there's nothing left. Jameis, Joe Flacco, Gardner Minshew, Marcus Mariota, Drew Lock, Mac Jones, Carson Wentz, Mason Rudolph. Come on. None of these guys are starting in 2025. If you have your choice, none of those guys are starting.
None of these quarterbacks coming in, you say, yep, there you go, Cam Ward or Shador or whoever it might be.
You probably are, but you shouldn't.
You shouldn't. You should be, you have to earn the job.
You probably are, but you shouldn't. If you're the Browns or you're the Titans or you're the Giants and you end up drafting a quarterback with your top 5 pick, you probably shouldn't, but you might be forced to. That's the consolation prize for a team like the Giants, at least. The Steelers, I just think Rodgers recognizes what the Giants are. They're a desperate organization right now that needs to win this season. They're not worried about the future. We're worried about next week.
It's not that. It's like, if you don't get Rodgers, you're toast. Can you imagine the Giants without a quarterback entering the draft?
I can, because they have a quarterback.
Oh, I'm sorry. What am I talking about?
Things will be fine in New York, Gino.
Yeah, I'm wrong.
You have a guy on the roster already, Tommy DeVito. You know why they'll be fine? Because he's Italian. Happy birthday, Richie C.
I was visiting a client yesterday, and I don't want to say who the client was because
they didn't buy and you don't give away a product for free. I know how you work, pal. When they buy, we'll be talking about them all the time here in the sports bar.
No, I'm taking a little detour here in the sports bar. I pride myself in being a proud Rochesterian, knowing Rochester history. Did you ever know about the Alphabet Mafia Wars?
The Alphabet Mafia Wars.
Yeah, there was like two groups, and they were Group A and Group B, and the Mafia Wars, and this is
in Rochester.
In Rochester,
when you said the Alphabet Mafia Wars, I thought, wait a minute, was there a mafia war in the Park Avenue neighborhood of the Alphabet neighborhood there in Park Avenue. What do they call it over there? The
neighborhood of
ABCs?
I don't know if this was Avenue A and B. I don't know the genesis of this, but I just figured, okay, this might be a time to say, hey, we had a thing here years ago.
The mafia was in Rochester. That's surprising to you?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
they did some scary stuff there.
I'm not surprised by this. You know why? My wife, I don't know if you knew this or not, Sandy, because she's Italian. Of course this was happening. Of course that was happening back in the day. What else are you going to tell me? You're going to try and surprise me and tell me that we had a pro basketball franchise or something? Get out of here with that.
Did I tell you a story? Like when I did the right thing, okay, as you did too, asking, my father-in-law for my now wife's hand.
You
right?
have to do that.
You have to do that. After I did that, a gentleman comes over and tells me, I have your initials on a bullet if anything should go wrong. You never got that. I got that.
Who's the guy that said that? Was it just a guy or was it a family member?
No, it was family, not by blood.
Yeah. I'm kind of like, hey, you don't know what you're getting into, pal. And you know I'm going to take care of business because I'm Italian. I have a bullet with your initials on it. Yeah, I'm trying to celebrate a life-changing moment here, sir. But thank you for threatening my life if it goes absolutely horribly wrong.
We got Mike Leone coming up here. I knew somebody could fill us in. All right, Mike in Sodas Bay, help us out. What's up, Mike?
All right, I'm going to try to do a quick up with the Mafia Wars. Early to mid-70s, all these mafiosos got put in jail. They were called the A-Team. After they got put in jail, the B-Team took over running the rackets. Then they found out that the police had planted evidence against the A-Team, so they all got let out. But the B-Team didn't want to let go of the power, so the A-Team and the B-Team went after each other.
Oh, my
wow.
And that was the Mafia Wars of the mid-70s, the A-Team against the B-Team, and Sammy G got blown up.
Hey!
The car got blown up. There were murders all over Rochester and around Decoit, people getting blown up and shot all over the place. It was like out of a movie.
Wow, it's like let's write a script here, Michael. Why hasn't this been brought to Hollywood here?
There have been books written about it, and I do think that they've talked about it, but
yeah,
it's just little old
think I'm going to read?
Yeah,
I want to read. Thanks, Mike.
No, I mean, they've done scripts probably, but nobody's picked up on it.
Well, appreciate the history lesson, Mike.
Mike.
Here I was thinking, the Mafia Wars, the ABC Alphabet Mafia Wars or whatever. I was like, was there wars in the ABC Streets neighborhood over there off of Park Ave? No, not so.
No.
A-Team, B-Team. A-Team gets out. B-Team has control. A-Team wants control back. They duke it out. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. And of course, The Godfather comes out right around the same time, so you probably have a little bit extra machismo going on here. A little bit more guys want to be gangsters. Yeah, actually taking part in that nonsense. Unbelievable. Only in Rochester, baby.
Only in the sports bar do we give you sports and history of our fine town.
Yeah, we just saved you having to read a book, Michael. I'm sure there are books out there about Mike. Come on.
No, let's get with Gary Craig. Write a screenplay. No more books, Gary.
Gary,
screenplay.
Come on now, Gary. We know you listen. This one's free. You've got some gold here. Dig it up. Let's do a screenplay. I'll go ahead and let me executive produce it. I'll work on that.
And I have a source who told me about some of this, who lived through all this, and I'm like, I was actually hearing some details that I don't want to bring
And Mike in Sodas Bay will be listed in the credits as special contributor. Okay, maybe we'll give him like a better producer. Gaffer. Mike Leone, head coach, Rochester Americans, our guest next. We get caught up on the team here on the Sports Bar on the Fan Rochester.
Rochester Sports Update.
Day 2 of legal tampering, and the Bills make a small move, bringing back running back Darrington Evans. Evans was in camp last season. Steve Tasker today on One Bills Live talking about Josh Palmer.
He's got route running ability. He's a separator. His measurables, that's why they gave him a 3-year contract. They've got some expectations with Josh Palmer. I don't think he's just a guy showing up. He's a much more proven commodity than we thought we were going to get with Mac Hollins last year. He's got that Bills DNA.
Meanwhile, former Steelers running back Najee Harris signing with the Chargers. Amherst hosts Charlotte tomorrow night, Providence on Friday. We'll talk to head coach Mike Leone next here in the Sports Bar. ACC tournament, Notre Dame over Pittsburgh 55-54. Syracuse tonight taking on Florida State. Tiger Woods, a ruptured left Achilles. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Talk some Amherst hockey. Head coach Mike Leone, always good with this time to join us every Tuesday at this time as we get ready for another week of Amherst hockey. And they're back home, Blue Cross Arena, Wednesday night. Charlotte the opponent, Providence on Friday night. It's Irish night, of course, St. Patrick's weekend in Rochester, always like a coming of age. It's like, oh, well, that we've turned the calendar and we're ready for spring. Mike, it's good to have you back in town. Let's talk a little bit about the weekend series there at Laval. We knew how critical that series was for you and for the guys, and we were struggling to keep that lead late in the game. Reflect a little bit on Laval.
Yeah, no, it was. I actually didn't coach the weekend. I was out with the flu, so I was watching from my hotel room. So it was a tough weekend. Like it. I thought we played, given our lineup, losing the guys right before the game, some huge pieces. I think if you look at the weekend, we had 2 leads in the third period, late in games. One was 8 minutes, one was 6, and we don't come out with points. And, it's a learning experience. I think we were 27-1 going into the third periods up until those 2 games. And, you just learn from it. There's probably crowd momentum swings, and we probably, other than a 3-minute segment of that first game where we kind of lost it a bit, if we get it to 3-2, we probably get a point, but it happens. I think it's a good reset for the group. I don't think we played bad hockey at all. I mean, we gave up 1 goal on the road, both games scoring basically with 8 minutes left in the game, and we didn't come out with any points. So it's just a reset, focus, and we got another really good team coming to town.
Yeah, Coach, I was reading the post game. Like you being in a hotel room or wherever it was, what is that like when you're kind of helpless? Are you allowed any communication whatsoever with your guys?
No, I was down and out. I had whatever's been going around. I woke up really early Friday morning, and it's hard. You're watching the game. I wasn't moving around a lot because I was really sick, but it's tough. You rather be there in the fight with the guys and being there for them. So it was kind of a unique situation. I hope that never happens again, but it happens. I would be concerned or upset if our effort and our compete level wasn't there, but it was 2 really good teams, and in the pride when the game got really hard, they were able to manage it a little better and came out with the 4 points on the weekend.
That's interesting. Did you learn anything new about your assistant coaches this weekend then, with you being on the shelf, Vinny and Paisher? Anything that you learned from their performance this weekend?
No, those guys are great. I trust them. Those guys are awesome. Great guys. They're great coaches. They're great people. I think they might have did it last year, when Apps went up for, I think, those 2 games. So no, they've been great, and they have helped me a lot. Of my first year coaching pro hockey, they're fantastic. They've been around a long time, so trust them, and I thought they did a great job.
We're talking to Amherst head coach Mike Leone, team back home tomorrow night against Charlotte, Friday night, the St. Patrick's night against Providence. You were shorthanded, not behind the bench, but also on the ice. Isak Rosane getting called up. Coach, I watched the Sabre game on Friday. I like Josh Dunn. I thought he won that fight against A.J. Greer against the Panthers. But when you add in that Nicolas Aube-Kubel was also traded, what was that like? How much of a test was that going to Laval where, admittedly, you were shorthanded?
Yeah, and especially with our league, you just never know what's going to happen. I think going into that weekend, you want to have a full group, but that's still no excuses. We've been here, Noah was out for a long time. Guys get called up all the time, but not having those guys is, just both players. I think Rosie's top, 5 to 7 in the league in scoring, and Denner's our matchup center. He plays against everybody's best line. So those things happen. It's the next man up mentality. And like I said, I thought our guys did a great job other than probably 3 minutes of one game and a 6-minute stretch late game, actually 30 seconds left in the game. That's probably the first time that's happened to us all year where we got scored on really late in the game. So I think those things are sometimes good for the group. You just got to reset and get focused and just know we got two really, really good teams coming in.
So would you call that a silver lining? I mean, you get 2 losses on the road at Laval. You're looking up at them now in the North Division standings. Does it give you a glimpse of some adjustments and strategy that you might look at adjusting a little bit here, knowing that you've got Charlotte and Providence coming in this week?
No, not really. I don't think it's more about just what we need to keep doing to get better. And I've said it all year with you guys. You look at every weekend, the wins and losses. I know everybody, whether you're at first place, second place, third place, whatever it is, you have to keep getting better at this time of the year. And I look at the weekend, it's a learning experience for the group. I think now when you're in tight games, late situations, you're on the road, you've been in that environment before, you know what it feels like. And we're going to be in a lot of games where you got to hold leads going in a third period. And it's not really adjusting. I think there are certain areas where, we especially at this time of the year, the rink gets a lot smaller. Everybody's defending in numbers, and we got to do a better job of getting to the net in those hard areas, especially 5-on-5. I think 5-on-5 this year, I think we're top 5 in the league in goals for, goals against, and 5-on-5 play. But our last 3 games, we have 2 5-on-5 goals scored. So there's little things like that where you just got to work on. And it's not perfect, but you just got to keep getting better. And I know the losses, but I thought for what we were up against on the road, I thought the guys competed extremely hard.
We're talking to Mike Leone, head coach of the Rochester Americans, who now looking up at Laval, but you can get some of those points back this weekend. And coaches are like a breath of fresh air. Some different opponents here, and these are 2 quality teams that right now are both holding on to playoff spots in their division. Give us a thought here on Charlotte, and then also looking ahead here to Providence.
Yeah, I think looking at both teams, I know I would say they're arguably the 2 of the top 5 teams in the league structurally, defensively, all the underlying numbers. You look at all statistical categories of Charlotte, it's probably the best defending team in the league. They don't give you much. They're really big. They're really heavy, much like the Florida Panthers. They're probably built similar, where it's a really tight checking game, and you're going to have to be really good in the hard areas of the rink. And then Providence is another really good team, but they also have a lot of gifted offensive players. Both teams are top 5 in the league in goals against per game. They're both really good teams, so it's another similar matchup to what we saw this weekend.
Well, a lot of fans are excited because they're teams that we don't normally get to see with the frequency that we do with divisional opponents. So you've got Charlotte, you've got Providence, and Friday, Irish night at the arena. Coach, this will be your first Irish night in Rochester. It is kind of like a passing of the torch from season to season, and St. Patrick's Day is special in our community. Friday night, the barn should be rocking, and you guys should be able to feed off of that.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I've heard a lot about it. I know people are going to get to the bars early. I'm sure there'll be a lot of hopefully they bring the rowdiness to the rink, because It is a home field advantage when we're at home and the crowd gets into it, especially when we get off to really good starts. We feed off it. I know the guys love playing at home, and it's nice. We got 16 games left, 10 of them are at home, so we got to make sure we're taking care of home ice in the final stretch.
Yeah, Coach, I got my tickets tomorrow night. I'm overdue here. Section 126.
No, it'll be a really good game. It's a really good team.
One last one for you, Coach. I'm reading a lot of Lions social media takes from fans that are not pleased with Detroit being on the precipice of what we would think would be a Super Bowl here, that they haven't really done much in free agency. Are you in that boat here, or do you think that it's okay what's happened here so far?
You know what? I haven't. We've been so busy, and I've been down and out, but I haven't even seen what they've done. But
that's the right answer, Coach. That's the answer we were looking for.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't checked, but in Dan Campbell we trust.
Yes,
so.
Very good. Well, Coach, best of luck this week. We'll be having the games here on the Fan Rochester. As always, we appreciate you giving us time on a Tuesday afternoon.
Thanks a lot, guys.
You got it. There he is, Mike Leone, on the mend. Yeah. Got the flu. It hit him hard.
Yeah. I've heard that from people. It's kind of it happened to our guy, Kevin Roche.
It was
it
was 5 years ago, speaking of the flu, today. 5 years ago. In fact, right around this time, we were on the phone with our buddy Marcel Louis Jacques.
5 years ago right now.
And and we got word that they had just canceled March Madness. And that to me is like the trigger. Once they did that, it's like, this is serious. What the hell is going on? Because before that, it was like, Rudy Gobert has COVID.
And you had some teams that were saying, I remember Duke was like, we're not going to participate. Okay, well, the tournament's going to go on. Wait, this is bigger than money.
Right. The conference tournaments were canceled. The March Madness tournament was everything came to a screeching halt. Just like that 5 years ago, right around this time, we were on the air, and I'll never forget it. Man, another chapter in sports marking instances in time.
So we did shows on Thursday and Friday. We came back in as normal on Monday. Monday, that began the mandate in New York State that all the bars and restaurants had to close. Monday was also the day in the evening that Tom Brady signed with Tampa Bay. But you and I learned on Monday, okay, until there's actual sports, your show is on
We were on a little hiatus.
Yeah.
What were we, 4 months?
Yeah, we didn't come back until June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good 4 month hiatus. And
I'm wondering, okay, is that
we had no sports. I mean, we could have done a show. We certainly could have done a show. They didn't want us to come in and do a show because of the, abundance of caution. Oh, I don't miss that.
You don't hear that. You don't hear the word abundance anymore,
I don't
right?
hear abundance of caution anymore. I do not miss it whatsoever. But we could have done a show. It just wouldn't have been a very sports-heavy show. We would have been digging deep into the topic bank of, sports talk cliches.
Well, we would have been talking about the mafia. Real Sports Diva writing in. There is a book, Gene. It's called The Hammer Chronicles.
What part of I don't want to read a book do you not understand? I'm not going to read a book about the mafia history in Rochester, New York.
Okay, you're saying this tongue-in-cheeky, but I'm going to ask you a serious question.
Yeah.
When was the last time you read a book?
I'm being cheeky. I went and reread, actually. I always like to read a book, and then if I really I want to go back and reread it. I'm actually reread Relentless by Tim Grover, who is Michael Jordan's personal trainer, Kobe's personal trainer. He was the guy that was behind their kind of just relentless nature as competitors. And I just found it to be such a fascinating read the first time around. Everybody talks about, you got to be a closer, you got to be a closer, you got to be a closer. And his thing was no, closers are fine. You want to be a cleaner. What's a cleaner? A cleaner is a guy that's here after hours, that's cleaning up everything, that's absolutely obsessed with success, with being the best, that you're going to find them in the middle of the night obsessing over it, doing what they need to do to get where they want to be. That's a cleaner. That's the difference between a cleaner and a closer. That's the difference between a guy like Kobe or Jordan and a guy like, I don't know, Luka. I mean, right now you could say Luka's a closer. You could say he's a closer. I would listen to that.
Yeah, but was Jordan just kind of puffing away and having cold ones or whatever? Yeah,
He still got it done. He did what he needed to do. I mean, like, when it came down to it, if you needed him at the gym at 5 a.m., he was there. Like, and Grover documents some of that relationship, some of his relationship with Kobe, and the guy was the guy behind some of the success that those guys had as professional athletes. That was the last book that I read, and that was just like recently. But good luck selling me on reading a book on the history of the mafia in Rochester. You just see me leaving that book lying around the house for my in-laws to find. Like, oh, what are you reading about this for? No reason, nothing in particular. Why is your name in this book, by the way? Why I recognize all these last names. They all end in vowels, and why is your name in here? What? Of course I would read that book, Gene. I'm married into an Italian family. My wife is Italian.
How do we get on this Tommy DeVito? I think we
Tommy
DeVito. Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Gateway to everything here in the sports bar. Tommy DeVito.
We'll take a quick break here. We will come back, and we'll kind of get you caught up on day 2 of legal tampering. The Bills did make a move. I wouldn't say it's an insignificant move.
Well, on the surface, you're like, this guy didn't okay. I think Perino brought up a good point. Could it actually be insurance for something else? I'm
sure.
Right.
We'll get into that. We have happy hour coming up, and we have plenty of time for your calls at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
Fan Rochester.
Cross an idea off the board here for the Buffalo Bills.
Go ahead.
Breaking news in the sports bar.
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
Just hours after being released by the San Francisco 49ers, Leonard Floyd, the defensive end, has a new home. He's going 1 year, $10 million to the Atlanta Falcons.
A lot of Bills fans upset about that move. Man, as soon as he became available, bring him back, bring him back, bring him back. Like, that doesn't happen all that often unless you're a guy like, I don't know, Darrington Evans. You're just happy to have a gig, happy to come back to a place that you're somewhat familiar with.
The thing that's weird to me about Darrington Evans, I think there should be a cutoff when you're an NFL info guy. Like, I would imagine that whether Rappaport or Schefter, whoever, you're getting hit all the time. It behooves every agent for you to put out there. So I ask you the question, why this? Why for a player that did not play in the league, that really hasn't done anything in this league, and Darrington Evans, he was with the Bills during camp last year. Yay. And then the Bills released him on an injury settlement. Well, the Bills are bringing him back. And to me, it was, okay, yeah, we're going to have a lot of these stories because the Bills need to bring 90 guys to St. John's University.
Exactly right.
But as Matt Perino brought up, I asked him the question this way. I said, hey, these free agents for the Buffalo Bills that are out there, like, who would you like to bring back? And I think the answer, most of us, is clear. It's Ty Johnson. Ty Johnson was important to that offense. Ty Johnson, while not an every down back, my gosh, he's got a skill set hard to replicate. Be great to have him back, and right now he's testing his market value. Perino putting out to us, well, if that doesn't happen, you're going to have to come up with another option, and danger, maybe that's it, Darrington Evans. You're going to need running backs for those 3 preseason games we're all looking forward to.
I'll say this at minimum. If you have Darrington Evans, you have competition for Frank Gore Jr., right? Like, you have 2 guys that can actually, like, duke it out for a chance at maybe getting a special teams gig or being the guy that, you know, break glass in case of emergency if you don't get Ty Johnson or if you don't draft a running back in the mid-rounds. Looking over available free agent running backs. Again, lots of familiar names and guys that were productive last year. J.K. Dobbins had a nice season in L.A. last year and probably wants to get paid off of that nice season, even though he was kind of plagued by injuries down the stretch. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a hard thing for him to overcome. Kenneth Gainwell is out. The Panthers released Miles Sanders today. Yeah. Khalil Herbert didn't really do much his second act after he was traded from the Bears. So, I mean, like, there's a handful of guys. You're not excited about Zeke Elliott at this point in his career. A lot of these guys are just going to hold on. You know who's still out there, hasn't officially retired? Nyheim Hines.
That's a story that we forgot about. Did the Bills actually come? They must have come to some sort of settlement.
Yeah, they did. I think there was an injury settlement.
Yeah, so right. So he's out there, but not retired. Interesting.
Yeah. Alexander Madison. I mean, like, there's plenty of like, you play fantasy football. Names you're familiar with. Can I interest you in Cam Akers? I mean, like, these are all guys that you could get as a free agent, or you could bring back Ty Johnson. I think their preference would be Ty Johnson.
Yeah. Or for any team, spend a 5th round pick.
Or spend,
and then we'll all be, ooh, how's this going to impact?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, at minimum, I think Darrington Evans and Frank Gore Jr. have a nice little camp battle. Let's see. You know, Frank Gore Jr. This is what they love, right? This is what McDermott preaches. We want to compete. We want guys to compete. They want to earn their job. Go out there and get it. It's not like, you know, they're interchangeable to me, those two. And I don't know that either of them are at the level. In fact, I know that neither of them are at the level of Ty Johnson, but we don't know what they look like right now. They could show up at camp and look like completely different people than they looked last year.
Josh Allen will talk to reporters tomorrow afternoon on Zoom, so I'm hoping we'll have some of that audio to play for you. And one of the questions I think I want to know is, all right, well, Josh, you have a new wide receiver. Was he involved in, like, the recruitment here of Josh Palmer? I mean, or was he involved in the actual decision to go after Josh Palmer? Those are 2 different things.
Now, earlier today on the Fan Rochester during One Bills Live, Brownie and Tasker, I should say Maddie and Tasker, had the chance to talk to the guy that drafted Josh Palmer in Los Angeles. That's Tom Telesco.
Josh reminded us a lot of Keenan Allen. Similar size, and the way he runs his routes is very similar to Keenan. I mean, he can really separate the top of the route. He's got really strong hands. He can adjust to the football, and he has some sneaky speed to him. And we saw that in college where, he could get behind some defenders in the SEC. He did that with the Chargers as well a little bit. But like I said, he's got a lot of good football in front of him. He's still relatively young, but we love the skills. And when we compare people to Keenan Allen, that was a pretty big statement for us. And just to kind of tie in with the Bills, I mean, we saw Keenan Allen's skills very similar to the way Andre Reed was when Andre Reed was with the Bills. Similar size, similar route running ability, similar strength and play. Now, Josh hasn't quite gotten to that Andre Reed, Keenan Allen area yet, but he has a lot of those similar skills.
Okay, now we're getting carried away. All right, let's not do the Keenan Allen is to Andre Reed, and then maybe stop. I can appreciate that you want to do a comp. Andre Reed is a Hall of Famer. This is a 26-year-old wide receiver where, you see some good things on tape. Why did this never happen for the Chargers? Why did his touchdown production go from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1? And you could say, well, it's because they had two other receivers. Well, because we brought in a run-heavy head coach and offensive coordinator. I'm sorry, I don't want to say this current management with the Chargers is a bunch of bozos.
No.
Why wouldn't you keep this guy?
But I think what you have now that he's a Bill is another guy like Shakir who is easily a wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside. I mean, they've got a lot of guys with potential on this roster so far. There's a handful of guys that you have a commodity. Like you have talent. Josh Allen clearly has talent. You have guys with that kind of upside. And the last big swing that they took for a guy who actually we knew had talent was Von Miller. It didn't really work out that way, right? It didn't work out as good as
12 games it did.
For 12 games,
12
you had
games,
it.
yeah.
And is it worth it? Is the juice worth the squeeze to make that big swing, to go after that known commodity, the guy that you know has talent?
People want the comfort of knowing, hey, we got our big prize. We're the favorites.
Yeah, I think you have that if you're the Buffalo Bills. Right now, you still have the best head coach and the best quarterback in the division. So,
in the division, I'm like, what?
Right, in the division.
Yeah.
At minimum, you could say we should win the AFC. The Patriots might be pesky. They were kind of pesky last year, even with a bad coach and I'm sorry, did I just say Mr. Mayo's a bad coach? I hope he's not listening. And a bad, rookie quarterback, not a bad quarterback.
Where is Mr. Mayo, by the way? Did he land a job yet?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I didn't follow up on that. We got to come back with happy hour next.
Will I ever get the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Mayo and tell him my Mr. Mayo story?
That would be Mr. Mayo Inception. That would be Mayo Inception. It would be like, let me tell Mr. Mayo the story of
Mr. Mayo.
How Mr. Mayo became Mr. Mayo.
Yeah.
We'll have time for your calls on the other side of the break as well at 866-4326. We'll tell you more about the moves made here by the Buffalo Bills. Some other moves around the NFL of note as well. Day 2 of legal tampering in the league year set to start tomorrow. By tomorrow at this time, the league year will be underway, and we'll make all of these deals official.
Yeah, that will be something, but there's a lot of moves still to be had. We can discuss that. We welcome your input at 866-4FAN, 866-4326.
WBBF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Day 2 of legal tampering and a move for the Bills today, albeit a small one. Running back Darrington Evans back with the team. He was at camp last year. Steve Tasker talking about one of the signings from Monday, Michael Hoyt.
When you watch his highlights, he is a high-motor dude who is always a try-hard guy. Whatever the play is, he's chasing it. And you love the attitude he brings. But you're right, he does bring something to the table in the run game, and he's a handful. He's going to be an asset to the team. We'll see. He'll be a rotational guy, no question.
Former Buffalo Bill Leonard Floyd signing a one-year $10 million deal with the Atlanta Falcons. Rochester Americans hosting Charlotte tomorrow night. Providence coming in on Friday. ACC tournament, Notre Dame over Pittsburgh 55-54. Early on, Cal up on Virginia Tech 18-17. Syracuse tonight facing Florida State. Tiger Woods has a ruptured Achilles. Gene Battaglia, The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Josh Palmer's the best receiver of all time. Michael Hoyt is my favorite player ever.
Josh Palmer and Mike Hoyt, they're Canadians.
And what time it is, it's the day before the new league year's popping.
The new league year is set to begin tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Mike Danger.
Naps are overrated. Naps are actually disgusting. Think of how insane it is to say, I need a nap. No, you don't. That's what sleep is for. Naps are disgusting. Naps are terrible. They're gross. Gino, Houseman, pets, babies. That's who naps are for. End of story. I said it. I said what I said. I'm sticking by it.
Gene Battaglia.
You know, in your updated wish list here, anybody that you could circle right now and be like, okay, he's out there. Would like the Buffalo Bills to pursue this guy.
Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo.
So, Mafia, mount up!
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Oh, I just saw this cross my feed, Gino. For the teams that are going into this season with low expectations, you're not tanking, you're not deliberately losing games, but you're certainly on the march for Arch. That's right.
Yeah, I love that.
You want the number 1 pick in the 2026 NFL draft. You want the ultimate hope bomb for your franchise, Arch Manning, out of the University of Texas.
That doesn't always work, the kitschy rhyme, because we had tank for Tua. That was, rather bland. We had fold for Darnold.
Yeah, that was a rough one. That was a
Yeah.
little bit of a tight squeeze.
Yeah.
The Browns are definitely on the march for Arch.
You know which one is the granddaddy of them all, the founder. Suck for luck. Did that work out, Cole fan? Well, it was good for a little bit.
It was fun for a while.
Yeah.
Fun for a while. The guy kind of prioritized his well-being long-term over the millions and millions of dollars he would have gotten getting his face kicked in as a quarterback of the Colts. Free agency and legal tampering continues. It's day 2. League year starts tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
How long is Aaron Rodgers going to hold up the rest of this quarterback market? And by the rest is, my gosh, it's like 3 teams right now. It's musical chairs. Some team's going to end up with Russell Wilson.
We think, how many teams do we think are really involved for Rodgers? Because we're only hearing really about 2 of them.
We only hear about 2, but I want to know what Tennessee's plan is. And I brought this up earlier, like, hey, what about the 49ers? Could there be a different team that would be in play? I'm bringing up the Niners because their contract negotiations right now with Brock Purdy not going so well.
Right. What would your plan be if you're the Niners and you can't get a deal done with Purdy, or maybe you just won't get a deal done with him because you're so far apart, so you split the difference and you bring in Rodgers for 1 year. Purdy then hits the open market at the conclusion of his rookie deal.
There's another quarterback you could trade for, but I don't think you want to do this. The 2 quarterbacks last year that had the most interceptions in the league tied. One was Baker Mayfield, which, okay, that's the Bucs. They kind of loosey-goosey there. The other was Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, what he's getting paid, like Atlanta would love if they got any cap relief whatsoever, but I don't know if there's a team that's dumb enough to trade for Kirk Cousins at this point.
Right. Reuniting Kirk Cousins with Shanahan. I don't know. Rodgers, to answer your question, who was saying what they were saying earlier? Rodgers will make up his mind in 4 months.
4 months, yeah.
There's a part of me that almost like believes that. Like, yeah, Rodgers doesn't have to give anybody an answer. You want me to be your quarterback? Here's my list of demands, and one of them is wait.
Obey.
The guy is
Come
unreal.
before bent knee.
The guy is unreal. I mean, the poor Giants. The poor Giants are so desperate. They need to win this season. They're going to lose their jobs. And Rodgers should know, like, this is the best spot. I've got this great house that overlooks the New York City skyline. It's beautiful.
Montclair, New Jersey.
Beautiful.
So
Montclair
upscale,
home.
yeah.
Beautiful, right? Why would you leave that if you're Aaron Rodgers? Go to New York, play for a year. If it works, great. You know what? You can retire knowing that you saved the jobs of Brian Daboll and Joe Shane. If it doesn't, everybody's out, and you don't have any blood on your hands.
That's why I think Rodgers. Put it there. When we talked to Matthew Collar last week, talking about the quarterbacks before all this happened, and I think he's right. Quarterback, the GM is responsible for 2 through 53 on the roster. The quarterback's the owner decision. Like Aaron Rodgers, I believe if he got in a room with some owner, would charm the pants off them.
Even the Maras.
Even the Maras.
Really?
Even
I
the
wonder
Maras,
if they see that, they're like, yeah, we get the appeal. He had some plays, but we also know the baggage that comes with him, and he's kind of a culture killer. Or maybe it's somebody else in the organization that's saying that. Or maybe they're all in, and Rodgers is just trying to drive up the price to get a few million more by including a team like Pittsburgh, or maybe the Niners, or, you know, for me, rooting for chaos, complete the Green Bay quarterback circle of life. Go back to the Vikings. Go back to the NFC North, just like your predecessor did, just like Brett Favre did. Go do it. And do
what, back up J.J. McCarthy?
No. Start. Go start in Minnesota for one season. This Bears fan wants to see it happen. Let's see it happen. Let's go. I mean, what if McCarthy isn't 100% healthy? They need a veteran. They need some veteran presence. I mean, there's plenty of veterans that are available at quarterback on the free agent wire. Who are you bringing in to back up J.J. McCarthy? Marcus Mariota? Gardner Minshew? Drew Lock?
Brandon Beane offer up Minch Trubisky for a 5th.
I love that I got you calling him Minch. Like you're from Chicago. Minch Trubinsky. Because when he was the Bears starting quarterback, people in Chicago, their accent, kind of like ours, a little bit like ours, more Polish influence, but it was always, hey, it's Mitch Trubinsky, my friend. Mitch Trubinsky. No, it's Mitch Trubisky. Mitchell, I think he prefers, actually. Would he get a 5th rounder?
No.
No, probably not.
No, but then again, what did Philadelphia get for Kenny Pickett?
Which is insane.
Like, come on.
Cleveland is insane. What are they doing? That deal is just... You don't like all of the deals that are getting done here during legal tampering. That one feels a little insane. Hey, good for Mac Hollins. Mac Hollins getting a deal. We're going to see him twice next season.
Mac Hollins got himself a pay raise. Think about that. A guy who never got anything. He was only here for 1 year. 1 year, $2.6 million. He had to make the team first and foremost. When he came into Buffalo, we really didn't know, oh, here's this guy. He's here every morning, 6 a.m., we're told, and he's got his bare feet. Okay, this is really kind of a fun, kitschy story. He makes the team. He becomes this fan favorite. But as Jeremy White on GR this morning said, the Bills in this move kind of chose talent over vibes. Not that Josh Palmer is a wide receiver 5 and Mac Hollins was a number 1, but hey, where do we want to make the investment? I'm sure that Mac Hollins could have come back for the league minimum. He got more in New England. Good for him. 2 years, 8.4. The more I read about it, it's just kind of a 1 year deal. But even if it's a 1 year deal, you're not paying $4 million to Mac Hollins at age 30, whatever.
Maybe he can
yeah.
buy a pair of shoes with the millions he's making now. The weirdo, get out of here. Got to see him twice a year now. No, we like Mac Hollins. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
And honestly, like at training camp, it was weird because you had guys like Hollins, Chase Claypool, Quentin Cephas. Like you had some guys, some wide receivers. Like, are any of these guys good?
Hollins made the team because he can block and because he plays special teams. So if we could look over the fearsome foursome, right? Palmer, does he play special teams? I don't think so. Shakir, well, as a returner, but I don't think they want him to do that. Keon Coleman, no. Curtis Samuel, definitely not. Okay, then wide receiver 5 had better play special teams. Matt Perino didn't agree with this take, Danger. I think they already have wide receiver 5 on this team.
I mean, just listen. Just listen to head coach Sean McDermott gush about Tyrell Shavers.
Very impressed. Even if you go back to his rookie season, he's so consistent in even when he wasn't playing with his approach. One of the first players in the building, one of the last to leave, knows what we're doing offensively, systematically, and I mean he's. When you look up consistent in the dictionary, like his face shows up in my mind because he's so consistent and at a young age. I have a lot of respect.
Just smitten with Tyrell Shavers. I forgot about MVS. He was at camp last year too.
Oh my gosh!
Another guy that was there was like, are these guys making the team? Who's good?
We're going to throw a bunch of S against the wall. Oh, Mac Hollins stuck. Now we're upset. Hey, I know that upset a lot of Bills fans because he was a character, but ultimately, is this wide receiving core going to be better? And I'm still reserving judgment here on Palmer. Like Palmer, you think can be a good, I don't even want to say a 1B because it really isn't a 1.
I like the skill set.
Yeah.
I mean, you might not like the stats. They're not eye-popping, but neither are Khalil Shakir's. The only stat that's eye-popping about Shakir is his efficiency, the fact that he catches every target that gets thrown his way. With Palmer, the skill set is separation, and that's the thing that no other Bills receiver can do as good as he can. If he's the separator that we see him to be from his time with the Chargers, then Josh Allen should be able to make hay with Josh Palmer. I think it'll be good. But I think what we're learning is the big swings, I think, happened in a time when you could afford the big swings, when you had Josh Allen on his rookie deal with Steph Diggs coming in here and that trade. And, you know, the Von Miller deal was a big swing. It was a talent. You knew you had somebody who still had some game, who still had some talent. You paid for it. And it worked out for, 12 games? And maybe they're a little gun-shy now to make that kind of a big swing, knowing that if it doesn't work out, if you don't get a return on that investment, it's not a good look.
Well, it's also that, and it's the market this year. It's not a market where you have these big names or teams that are looking to move on also from big names. I think the disappointing thing so far, Danger, is, okay, you have a guy named White. If you didn't know how to pronounce his name before this morning, don't feel bad. If you never heard of him,
started this show, I didn't know how to pronounce his name.
If you never heard of him before, don't feel bad. I never heard of him. Undrafted out of Brown. Play special teams.
It's Brown University.
Brown.
Yes. Please put some respect on my name. It's pronounced Hoyt. I called him hacked. What are you going to do? Canadian.
Both these guys Canadian.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, we're all set.
We're bypassing talent. We're only looking for guys from north of the border. That's all we want. We want guys who've lived in cold.
I look at this guy, Danger, and okay, he's somebody that you could have as one of your 4 defensive tackles. Versatility, always a big thing, and special teams. Where the special teams sucked last year for Buffalo, and there I said it, he's somebody who blocked 3 kicks last year for the Rams. That's not a 0.
Blocked 3.
3.
Okay.
High motor guy.
That's what we hear. We like guys with high motors. Got a motor that won't quit. No quit in his game. We'll see what else the Bills have planned here with the league year getting underway tomorrow afternoon at 4:00. We still don't know where Aaron Rodgers is going to go. We do know that after being released by the Niners, Leonard Floyd is signing a 1-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons. So for every Bills fan that saw that news earlier today, it said, bring him back. Sorry. 1 year, $10 million?
Yeah. That's, I'm sure
the Bills still paid less for him when he was here, that 1 year he was here, than the Niners paid for him or than the Falcons are paying for him.
Yeah, and that might have been tough, actually, for the Bills to commit just the 1 year and not spread this out. You might have done a void year thing, who knows. But good for Leonard Floyd. If you're wondering, hey, what's going on with some of these other starters? And by starters, I mean key contributors also, because even though Ty Johnson wasn't a starter, oh boy, if he goes somewhere else, then you have to address that. No news yet where he's going. Rasul Douglas is out there. Damar Hamlin is out there. So I just go back to you don't want to go into the draft having to address a need. And quarter two danger for Rasul Douglas if we get home at 7 o'clock, and that always happens to us.
Yeah.
It always happens. Like, okay, show's over. I look at my phone. Oh, sure enough.
I want to see some $1.5 million, 1 year $1.5 million signings. Like that's when we're really getting deep into it. That's when we know we've arrived.
Yeah, and for Rasul Douglas, I don't know what kind of market he'll have, knowing that he's 30 and teams don't like to pay the corner position at that. Same thing. I'd like to have Damar Hamlin back, but it always comes at a number, right?
Well, I saw this signing cross my feed earlier, and I flagged it because I'm like, oh, that's interesting. When you see, we knew that J.C. Horn in Carolina broke the bank and reset the cornerback market. We saw Byron Murphy in Minnesota also get 3 years, $66 million. So Christian Benford, you would imagine, is mulling over an extension right now. What is that extension? What are the terms of that extension? When will we see a Christian Benford signing? I mean, that feels like the next domino to fall in terms of the Bills' offseason here.
Breaking news here, Danger.
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
So we're just talking about the safeties. There was one name out there. I'm like, well, that might be interesting for the Bills. Nope, cross his name off the board. Justin Reed's leaving the Chiefs. He signs a 3-year, $31.5 million deal, 22 of that fully guaranteed, with the Saints. The Saints, the poster child for the cap isn't real.
Did I see that the Saints brought back Tyrann Mathieu? Tyrann Mathieu is still playing for the Saints?
Right.
Like his career.
Ooh, something sort of Bills related.
Okay.
Do you believe? Breaking news here. Ow.
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
The reverse Carolina pipeline. Carolina signing a 1-year deal up to $3 million for punter Sam Martin.
Oh, okay. Well, there you have it.
We will have a new punter.
The best holder in the game now resides in Carolina, I guess. That's his words, right?
Yeah.
Best holder in the game.
Well, I'm the best holder in the game. You come at me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get.
Oh,
Isn't that what he says?
I got it.
Well, I'm the best corner in the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get.
He didn't say holder. He said corner. I stand corrected.
Yeah. Can you imagine after the Bills make it to the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship game, Aaron Andrews goes to interview Sam Martin, and Sam Martin sounds like this?
Well, I'm the best corner in the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get.
I remember watching that, and he's looking into the camera like he's a WWE guy. Like he knew exactly what he was doing.
He's the best.
This is my moment, and I am ready for this.
Yeah, the absolute best. Yeah. Legend. He became a legend right then and there. Good player, always a good player, but that turned him into. I mean, the Legion of Boom. Man, that was fun. That was a fun defense. That little run that they had there, those guys were violent.
How they only won one Super Bowl, too. Yeah.
Well, I'm the best corner in the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get.
You know, I don't know that I've ever heard Christian Benford speak, but I want him to sound like that. In my mind, that's how he sounds. So when he signs that extension, that's what I'm going to hear in my head. I'm the best corner in the game. When you try me with a sorry receiver like Mac Hollins, that's the result you're going to get.
To your point, Christian Bedford's heading for free agency next year, right?
Got to get that extension done, pal.
Look, I want to give Brandon Beane all the credit. It goes back to last year, being ahead of Spencer Brown and being ahead of all these guys. I didn't think Greg Rousseau. He did Rousseau, Shakir, Benford. Cook, we knew, okay, but
Benford's going to make more than Rousseau on average.
It's not going to be in Buffalo then.
Yeah.
It's a position danger, yes, and you will tell me about the life cycle, but you got to be cautious about that. I mean, the Bills had to bite the bullet on Tre'Davious White. Do you realize Tre'Davious White still on the books this year? Comes off next year because they had to spread that out. It's a tough one.
Other moves from around the league quickly here, just kind of moves of note here during legal tampering. Thought it was interesting that Daniel Jones signed with the Colts, and we will see that competition that they were talking about at the Combine between Danny Dimes and Anthony Richardson. I'm not going to be surprised if Daniel Jones wins that competition. I'm not going to be surprised if Daniel Jones wins some games for the Colts in the AFC South. Shane Steichen's an offensive-minded head coach, can scheme guys open. He's got talent at wide receiver. He's got a good run game, a good offensive line. This could be Daniel Jones. It really is his only opportunity for a second act in the NFL. Make the most of it.
Yeah, I think he chose wisely here because that is a team. You'd be surprised if Richardson won that battle.
I would be.
Yeah,
I would be. I think he's just there. I don't think that there's any faith in that. I think he's tarnished. I think he's damaged goods in Indianapolis. Maybe he needs a new.
Will that locker room ever look at him the same?
Yeah,
again?
I think he needs a new start. Najee Harris. Fantasy players with the Chargers, 1 year, $9.25 million. Najee Harris.
So,
Javonte Williams in the backfield now for the Cowboys as well. Although Javonte didn't do much in Denver here the last couple of years, you wonder how healthy is he, or will he look spry in the Dallas backfield next season?
That's an overpay for Najee Harris, is it not?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I like Najee Harris in that offense. I think Najee Harris gives you what you had in J.K. Dobbins without the injury risk.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to pay him for that accordingly. $9.25? Yeah, that feels about right. I think anything over 10, maybe, you're overpaying for him. Jonathan Allen, defensive tackle, was let go by the Commanders, signs with the Vikings.
One from last night, too. Andre Cisco going to the Jets. That was the safety from Syracuse that Jacksonville I'm thinking, okay, knowing that the Bills have a coach from the Jacksonville staff, I'm thinking that would be perfect. No, he goes to New York.
Oh, and back in the AFC East for Zach Wilson. He's got a 1-year deal with the Dolphins. The Dolphins just making moves.
Well, they have a lot of retired women down on South Beach, that area, right?
Oh, yeah, you can go cougar hunting.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson in Miami. That's a problem. That might be a problem. I don't know. We'll see. Let's take a break and come back. A round of shots next in the sports bar.
Did the Sabre captain, who's under contract into the next decade, really go to the GM and say, I want out of here?
Oh, boy.
We haven't gotten to this.
We have some drama.
Oh, who cares?
You know what? Honestly, you want to get out of here? Go. Is there anything about this team, any redeeming quality about these guys that makes you think, oh, that's the guy you can't touch? No, go.
Oh, who cares?
Don't matter.
I have never disliked a team from Western Europe more than that one.
Ooh.
And mind you, Danger, that literally is...
I'll say this. As much as I hate the outcome, there are likable elements of this team. I disliked the Jack Eichel, Sam Reinhart Sabres more because those guys just didn't seem likable to me. They just felt like they were jerks and they truly didn't care. They had this kind of like presence of
these guys seem
the
like
Rasmus
robots.
Ristolainen era Sabres to me. I think were a lot less like these guys are robotic and they're a little stiff. But I'm saying this like I like Alex Tuck. Like I think Alex Tuck is good for this team. But if they said they're going to move on from Alex Tuck,
oh, who cares?
Okay, fine.
It's the month of March too when Kim Mulkey calls out a reporter.
Oh, are we talking Kim Mulkey?
Your girl.
No,
It's
your
March.
girl. That's your girl.
Your girl.
Your
Kim.
team. Your team. That's Kim Mulkey.
Wouldn't it be a shame?
Yeah.
They need to dump
She on the anniversary of the day where COVID really they're canceling the tournaments.
No.
The basketball tournaments are canceled.
They need to dump the COVID testing. Wouldn't it be a shame to keep COVID testing and then you got kids that end up having test positive or something and they don't get to play in the Final Four? So you need to just forget the COVID test and let the 4 teams that are playing in each Final Four go battle it out.
She was at Baylor at the time of that.
That's right. That's a great take because it's a take that I don't know a lot of people would agree with that, but then you have the I'm censoring myself right in the middle of it.
Yeah. So timeline that out, 2020, 5 years ago today, COVID, that was March of 2021. So at that point, we had all done the testing and the constant mask, all the things were happening. And she had just had enough.
She was done.
She was over all of it.
Like a lot of people were like, okay, I'm done with this. And if you get it, you get it. Whatever.
They need to cut the cut the wouldn't it be a shame?
Yeah, we got some other basketball notes here to get to as well.
All right, we got that more coming up. Round of shots. And let's get the last call as well. You have the final word in the sports bar at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
your mornings as thrilling as a game-winning touchdown. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Day number 2 of legal tampering. The league year begins tomorrow. The Bills bringing back running back Darrington Evans. Evans was in camp last year. Steve Tasker today on One Bills Live talking about Josh Palmer.
He's got route running ability. He's a separator. His measurables, that's why they gave him a 3-year contract. They've got some expectations with Josh Palmer. I don't think he's just a guy showing up. He's a much more proven commodity than we thought we were going to get with Mac Hollins last year. He's got that Bills DNA.
Safety Justin Reed signing just now, formerly the Chiefs. He goes to New Orleans. Amerks hockey tomorrow night. Charlotte coming to town. ACC tournament final today. Notre Dame winning at the buzzer, 55-54 against Pittsburgh. Cal and Virginia Tech right now at the half. It's Virginia Tech leading by 3. Syracuse tonight facing Florida State. Tiger Woods, a ruptured Achilles. Gene Battaglia, the Fan Rochester.
The only way to take the Fan Rochester with you is the free Odyssey app. Download it today and follow the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Hey, get in now for last call at 866-4326. You can have the final word in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia with a round of shots.
You know, if you want to just make a Gen Xer sad, just that last note there, by the way, just a minute here for Tiger, where I didn't ever think we'd ever see a competitive Tiger Woods again on the course, Danger, but after the accident and now this.
No, it's just one thing after the other. I mean, retire. I mean, that's really all that's left. It's just for him to say, you know, I'm done. I'm done. You'll see me and maybe I'll swing a club, but I'm done competing.
Mm-hmm.
It's done. It is sad. Man, and again, you can mark moments in time through sport, and there are a lot of moments that we all remember because of Tiger Woods and the way he played, and even in somewhat recent years, the memories of the Masters and him winning one more Master with Charlie and everything. I mean,
I can mark November 2008 too, when that was a story, as we say, has legs. Like, wait, that woman, that like, oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, oddly enough, there's a guy that was mentioned in the book I was talking about earlier that I reread, the Relentless book. He had Tiger Woods as somebody who was that cleaner, the guy that was so relentless in the pursuit of winning that nothing else mattered, and you completely lose track of your choices. You don't care. You just do whatever. Not making excuses for his behavior, but that was what undid him, because then you lose that mentality, that focus that he had for so long with all the other distractions that he had going on in his life. It's sad. The downfall of Tiger Woods is a sad story.
Drama today from the Sabres. Like I say, wait.
Well, we need something. So give us some drama.
So Sabre captain Rasmus Dahlin. Okay, now let's push to the side like the Sabre season, but he came out guns a-blazing today, refuting a report from TNT's Paul Bissonnette. Bissonnette, co-host on the Spittin' Chicklets podcast, Barstool, very popular. Bissonnette reporting that Dahlin met with GM Kevin Adams and said if things don't improve around here, he's going to request a trade. Dahlin is in his first season as captain of the Sabres after beginning the season in September. He signed through the 2031-32 season. He's got a cap hit of $11 million on this 8-year extension he signed back in 2020.
Oh, who cares?
Trade him. I don't care.
Oh, who cares?
Change everything.
Oh, who cares?
Go back to the goat head.
Oh, who cares?
Do DJ Cool as your goal song.
Oh, who cares?
I don't care. Anything. Whatever they want to do, I don't care.
Oh, who cares?
Danger, we have them as our product tomorrow night, taking on Detroit. By the way, it's on TNT, and I love to hear Bissonnette kind of, all right,
not me.
Stand,
oh, who cares?
Bissonnette's standing by this, by the way.
He should stand by it. It's probably true.
Well, Kevin Adams uses the word conversation.
Yeah. Oh, we had conversations.
Conversation is a loser word. Winners take action. Losers sit around and talk about things they should have done.
I mean, whether it's true or not, the fact that the captain is having this conversation, it tells you everything you know about this season. It's another wasted season, another disappointment. I don't care about any of these guys. Talk I like. I like Talk. Tage is obviously, he's a goal scorer. You want that guy. But if you said Tage Thompson, you have to move on from him to bring in somebody that can galvanize a community, somebody that can command the locker room, somebody that can just take ownership and have some pride in the sweater that they put on every night. Short of that, do whatever you want.
Oh, who cares?
LSU women's head coach Kim Mulkey was not in a good mood following her team's semifinal loss in the SEC tournament at Texas.
You can just end the sentence at not in a good mood. Just leave it at that, because she's never in a good mood.
No, even when her team wins, not in a good mood. At her post-game press conference, and you got to picture this, they're on the podium. They have the moderator there. Mulkey calling out a reporter, Lulu Kesson. That's not unusual. This is, though. Kesson was eating a mozzarella stick while she was talking.
While the reporter was talking, or while Mulkey was talking?
Mulkey was up there.
So Mulkey's up there and some reporters mowing on a mozzarella stick?
But she's way in the back. She's a reporter covering South Carolina. She has no interest in what Kim Mulkey has to say, but she's in the same room. So is that poor etiquette? Is it bad manners? Even though you're nowhere near the press conference, if Kim Mulkey can see you and as she's talking, you're just eating away on mozzarella
Kind of like the move. I kind of like the move. Will it be you or I at Fisher this summer eating a turkey burger during a McDermott press conference? Can we make that happen?
We're just taking like a milkshake.
From Pittsford Dairy.
Yeah.
We know you like these milkshakes, Coach. Is that the way to get his attention, to distract him during a press conference? Slurp on a milkshake. Gene will get vanilla. I'll get some exotic flavor.
Mulkey and LSU, they finished the season 28-5. They should be fine. They're projected as a 3 seed for the NCAA tournament.
She's so cranky. So all this woman's doing is eating a mozzarella stick. Who amongst us isn't enjoying a mozzarella stick when you have the opportunity?
You said naps are for children. How about mozzarella sticks are for children?
Ooh. I don't know about that one, Gino.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that one. Mozzarella sticks, pretty elite appetizer.
For children.
For children? You don't go to a sports bar and order mozz sticks or pizza logs or a pretzel? Gino, come on.
No, I'm not talking pretzel or pizza logs. I'm talking mozz sticks.
Mozz sticks are still an elite appetizer.
Tell me some age
chicken,
range of
boneless nuggets, boneless wings. That's for children.
That's for children.
You might as well order Dino Nuggets. Mott sticks still pass the test.
There's no bye for Syracuse basketball in the ACC tournament, but at least they got in. 2 thumbs up, as we're showing on YouTube. 13-18. That was the record for Syracuse in the regular season. They take on Florida State. The Seminoles at 17-14. This is going to be a great matchup tonight. The winner gets the 6th seed, Southern Methodist, tomorrow night. Tonight's game tipping off 7 o'clock on the ACC network.
13-18 on the season.
Not great, Bob.
Second to last team to make it into the tournament for the ACC.
So Syracuse, right. Syracuse as the 15 here, or the 14. By the way, there's only been one double-digit seed ever to win the ACC tournament. That was NC State last year.
Huh?
And with so much happening yesterday, Danger, we didn't get to this. The Wolfpack last year, do you remember this? They win the ACC tournament as a 10. That's the only way they're going to get in. And then they rode that all the way to the Final Four. What a great season.
I completely forgot. I only remember champions.
You might remember this now. This happened on Sunday. The Wolfpack then fired their head coach, Kevin Keats. This just 1 year after making the Final Four.
Cruel.
NC State went 12-19 this season. They didn't even make the ACC tournament.
Ugh.
Third place is you're fired.
Hit the bricks, pal, and beat it, because you are going out.
You go to the Final Four 1 year, you don't make the ACC tournament the next. I mean, yeah, NIL is a bitch. My God.
Right, that's probably what this is about, right?
My God, that is.
If you don't have the pipeline, if you're not shaking hands and collecting checks.
Right, well, there's a different standard there in the triangle, right?
Because we're adding a little something to this month's sales contest. As you all know, first prize is a Cadillac Eldorado.
Duke.
Anybody want to see second prize?
North Carolina.
Second prize is a set of steak knives.
Third place is NC State.
Third prize is you're fired.
Yep, NC State. Third prize is you're fired.
Finally, a Texas Rangers cap manufactured by New Era. So every year they come out. This is not anything that a team would wear on the field, but just something that New Era is putting out. It's going to become a collector's item. We'll explain. The cap was pulled off the shelves. It is no longer sold online. Turns out it's what they call an overlay, Danger. You have like the team name in the background. You're putting the team logo in front of the team name. Turns out that the team name in the background, they used Texas. And then they put the logo T over the X. And if you spell that out, it actually spells out a vulgarity in Spanish. Do you know that word? These hats were selling for $40.
My mom had class. She didn't swear around me in Spanish.
$44.99. An MLB spokesman had no comment. By the way, the Rangers not the only one that missed the mark. The Houston Astros written in the back. The mashup has the H over the T. Astros.
Okay. Astros?
Yeah.
Every year we have a uniform story out of MLB, a uniform mishap. We had Franks and Beans last year. That did they fix that or did it just go away? Did people stop complaining about it?
No, it's totally fixed. So they went back to the old style uniforms, and like for people like me that need readers, I can actually see the names and numbers now.
That's good.
And we don't have the Franks and Beans.
So I want to get this Texas hat, and I also want to get the Billy Ripken baseball card. Can we? If you have those two collector's items, then you've found the two of the items on the Mount Rushmore of vulgar displays, misprints, and the items that are going to be discontinued.
F-face, right?
F-face, the F-face card. Last call next, 866-4326 if you want to have the final word. 585-866-4FAN.
with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
By this time tomorrow, the NFL league year will have begun. We will be wishing you all a very happy new year tomorrow afternoon when we return to the Sports Bar starting at 3 o'clock. PJ Glasser, the host of Send It In on the BetMGM Network, stops by as he does every Wednesday at 3:25. And at 4:25, we'll be joined by the host of the Locked On Chargers podcast. Learn more about Joshua Palmer from David Drogemeyer, who is going to spend some time with us at 4:25.
Jacoby Brissett will not be a bridge quarterback this year. He signs with Arizona, so that is the 6th team he's been with in his NFL career.
Man, another journeyman, just another guy that, I mean, keeps getting work, but you hope you never see. If you're a Cardinal fan, we have maybe one listening.
Yeah.
If Brissett's out there, something's gone horribly wrong. And Kyler Murray is broken. You hate that. You hate that. So, yeah, another free agent quarterback off the list. What are the Vikings doing? Watching the Vikings. What are the Vikings doing? Who are they bringing in?
Why do you think you're just doing this to needle every Viking fan? I'm actually kind of concerned. This is not a real take. Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings.
It could happen. Need a veteran.
And as long as he's not signed, I'm sure everything could happen.
Knees are weak. J.J. McCarthy with weak knees going into the season. Yeah, I kind of like it. If you're Aaron Rodgers, you want to win, because we know that these guys, all they care about is winning. You think the Vikings could give Rodgers more financially than the Giants? We just want to see the Green Bay quarterback cycle, the circle of life. We want to see it complete.
No, I think every talking head show wants Aaron Rodgers not to make a decision and just drag this out into the summer.
Good 4 months of will he or won't he? Meanwhile, you're holding teams like the Giants and Steelers hostage, because that's fair. Fun afternoon here in the Sports Bar, as it is every afternoon from 3 until 6. We appreciate you checking us out, however you may be doing so. Locally at 95.7 FM, AM 950, and the free-to-download Odyssey app. Big shout-out to everybody watching on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. Like, subscribe, share it with a friend. We appreciate that more than anything. You can also get us on Twitch, where we stream, and on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. If you missed Mike Leone, Rochester Americans head coach, or Matt Perino covering the Buffalo Bills for the Syracuse Post-Standard, those conversations are available for you in podcast form wherever you get your shows. Just search out the Sports Bar, and you will find us. JR Sport Brief next on The Fan Rochester. Have a great night.